The judge has studied the case for a long time. Has followed it closely.
Very closely. So, plaintiff and defense, I hear at some point one of you will be starting your arguments. So, who wants to go first in their opening statement?
Yeah, it's not like I laid out the plan
quick,
for
I'm just
everybody.
gonna
The plaintiff goes
But I'll be right
first.
Plaintiff goes first, so my client will be talking for now.
Okay, on to my opening statement, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid that getting you all out of bed this morning has been a complete waste of everyone's time. We all know that deep down, the jets are cooler than tanks. There is no argument here. There is no case to be made for the humble tank. Since our early primitive ancestors, we've gazed into the sky, longing for the day where we might finally conquer it. When teachers ask their students what they want to be when they grow up, is it any surprise that a pilot is the most common answer?
I did think you were going to say jet. Like, when I grow up, I want to be a jet, which I could see happening. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Modern jets are marvels of engineering, winged beasts of the sky, pushing the laws of physics and the bodies of those who fly them to their absolute limits. Fighter pilots need to be insanely fit, have natural 20/20 vision, and applicants have a lower acceptance rate than Harvard University. These guys are the modern day knights, the sigh of relief for troops on the ground, or the last thing you see if you're waving the wrong flag. Our media has always worshipped pilots, and for good reason. Paladins of the sky, G-force warriors, and the perfect marriage of human intellect and peak physical performance. The only thing cooler than a pilot is a fucking astronaut, which is just a pilot that hasn't managed to fly, a little bit higher.
Objection!
What? Tim, you can't object.
I am an expert witness.
Tim, no, you can't object.
It's an opening statement, overruled.
Opening statement.
He doesn't even have a. He's not even on a side. He's just in the stands.
Get him out of here. Get this crazy hobo out of here.
Throw shoes at him.
Tim, keep quiet. These are the opening statements, okay? We don't need to jump the gun.
All right, I'll continue.
You'll get your time to speak in a bit. All right. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Swag?
All right, I'll finish it up. Jets are the pinnacle of human achievement, and a glorified tractor with a gun could never hope to reach their level of excellence. Thank you.
Oh, my God, fighting words.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Swag. I just want to finish off of my opening brief statement before we move on to the defendants. I would just like to say, Your Honor and everybody in the jury, thank you for being here. Today is not really a question of whether tanks are cool or not. I think we can all agree that tanks in some form are cool. But Jake's very bold statement of jets not being cool, or jets are not as cool as tanks, needs to be met with the right attitude of you're fucking wrong. So, today, we are discussing what is the correct answer. Now, being a subjective topic, I hope we maintain subjectivity.
This is highly objective, actually. Whoever wins this, this becomes law.
While somewhat objective and subjective, to make such a bold statement that jets are not as cool as tanks with such confidence, I would say is heresy. So, yeah. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. All right. Would the defendants like to start their opening statements as well? Make their case?
I would like to offer my client an opportunity to make his opening statement.
If it so pleases the court.
Holy shit. I'm in. I'm so in for this.
Now, listen here. What we got on the other side is a bunch of Yankees. These people don't understand anything about any sort of armed superiority of any kind.
I let him speak for 2 seconds and he's turned us into a colonialist.
One of these people is from a country that lost a war to an emu. The other person is from a country that lost a war against a bunch of people that didn't even fight back. I'm talking about India. Now, moving on beyond that. Tanks are the cornerstone of any successful war. Look at planes. What did planes win us in Vietnam? What did planes win us in Korea? Planes win us in Iraq and Afghanistan. Not a goddamn thing. Now, when we look at the evidence, and we will be looking at the evidence here in a little bit, we're going to see that not only are tanks superior to everything that any plane can do, but that when we really, truly look at how tanks are depicted in the media, we're going to find that not only is Top Gun Maverick a mid-movie, we're going to find that tanks are superior in movies, in video games, and in life.
Oh, the emotional tank.
We're going to find the true meaning of what it means to really be a tank.
Oh my god.
And you know what? One of the opposition here said that what can really catch an airplane? Well, I'd like to tell you, a bullet from a tank can catch an airplane. That's for damn sure. I rest my case.
Amen.
You don't.
brother.
That is so loud.
Holy.
I know his opening statement, but I do have an objection. He mentioned.
Hey, no.
You can't-
My objection was overruled. You shut up now. Listen here.
Usefulness of tanks. This is about coolness.
Shut
We're
your
getting there.
Yankee ass up.
Hey,
If I may, I would like to address that statement. I'll use the remainder of our time. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I don't think it's been accurately depicted by either side as of yet, so I will take this time to do so. This is not a question of usefulness. This is not a question of tactical authority. This is not a question of whether or not a jet or a tank are more valuable on the battlefield. I, right now, will tell you that in combat, more often than not, jets are more useful. They are more tactically advantageous. This is not a question of that. This is a question of whether or not tanks are cooler than jets. This is a question of, would you rather watch tank combat or jet combat? This is not about tactical utility. Thank you, Your Honor.
Beautifully said.
I mean,
Now
that
wait,
is-
why did no one tell me this?
What? This has been the argument!
Hey, everyone.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. My client and I haven't spoken very much. I decided the best
Also,
strategy
you
to
have different
defend
ways
my
to
client
argue
was
your
to
case.
keep him in the dark.
I was gonna call for a recess because if it was about usefulness, and I just need to re-strategize.
No. This is not a question of
Hey,
usefulness.
hey,
This is a question of coolness.
Hey. It's alright. Everyone has time for counter statements. Now is the counter statement time, I'm guessing. Right? This is counter statement
This
time.
is now the time for counter statements, yes. And once again, the plaintiff will go first.
Well, to be completely honest, Skipty nailed it on the head right there. Am I allowed to bring Jake to the stand at this point?
No, these are just counter statements. We haven't begun,
this is
have
just-
not begun the court case yet.
Yeah.
Well, I will allow my client to give his counter statement in a moment. I would just like to mention that even if we are not talking about usefulness, as I have proven in evidence that I'm willing to show later, that all those examples of wars where he talked about usefulness were in fact wrong. But, like I said, we'll get to that in a moment. But also, I would like to mention to Jake that if we're going to be comparing tanks and planes, you have to remember that you're wrong. That's my end of my statement. Swag, you can go.
I got nothing to add. Jake is definitely wrong here. But can we just highlight that Jake said that Top Gun Maverick is a mid movie? And am I fucking insane? That movie was sick.
Oh my god. The audience, aghast, in shock.
It's just absolutely flabbergasted by this.
Bamboozled.
If I may make my counter statement, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, allow me to put myself in front of you again.
Oh, I see. You're doing the. I see. You got the more pomp and circumstance after Jake kind of wowed the floor.
Yeah.
With...
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what you will see today will be a tragic misrepresentation of the facts by the plaintiff and his legal counsel. You see, they believe that they can circumvent the point of this trial by talking about things like fuel efficiencies and the pilot and the history of warfare. None of those things are about the true core of this case. The core of this case is whether or not...
Objection, I never mentioned the past.
But I promise you will. You are as you have described yourself as an armchair historian.
Wait, hold on. Before, you can't do like a future sight and be like, you're gonna say this.
Dude, that's metagaming. Calm down.
Objection, evidence for those claims.
At the end of the day, all this boils down to is whether or not, after all of our arguments, you see a picture of a tank and a jet and pick the tank. Thank you very much.
Now, I'd like to respond to a few things now that Number one, are tanks cooler than planes? God did not create a fear of heights for no reason. God created this fear because he knew that planes sucked. And they suck ass. Over the course of this trial, I'm going to demonstrate that even with all them planes, fancy gizmos, and doodads, that at the end of the day, a tank watching it in combat is more entertaining for a longer period of time. Think about it like a firework, if you will. I know they don't have it over there in Yankee Land, so use your imagination. But over here in Freedom Land, a firework is a beautiful expression of America's freedom. A jet is the type of firework that you see it and it's up there for 1 second. It's boom, and it's beautiful, because any firework's beautiful. There's no doubt about it. But a tank is like one of them slow, long burners. It goes on up, and it just keeps going and going, and then all of a sudden, kaboom! And the voice of God shouts throughout the land, "There be freedom in this land." That is what a tank represents. A tank represents freedom. Now, my opposition is going to try to use all sorts of fancy nonsense and a movie that's essentially just the Death Star trench run in a nutshell over the course of 2.5 hours. But I would like to remind you all, and everyone, that a tank could take more damage than an airplane can.
Objection to usefulness.
I don't
No
give a shit
objections
about
in the opening
objections.
statements.
Giving an opinion.
Also, to be fair, if you're watching a show of any kind and someone took a punch to the face and didn't flinch, that is cool.
That is cool. The judge has announced that is cool.
That is kind of cool.
Okay, I recline my objection.
You're goddamn right.
Someone said if you drop the accent, you lose the case.
Well,
Only because I'm not a knife.
Cardinal Fox in the chat. Jake, my opposition will use fancy things like facts and evidence. Okay, with opening
I'm appealing to their American sensibilities. All right.
with opening statements out of the way, I think we will take a brief recess as we get ourselves situated for the presentation of evidence. So I'm gonna throw our viewers to it.
Are we just gonna go with our clients and discuss stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the classroom with Mr. Swag.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I guess I'll entertain the people for a bit.
I guess Jake, we could just stay here if they're leaving.
You're goddamn right.
Client. I did not expect.
You influence the chat.
I did not believe I could get you out of this room
He'll
anyway.
need it. He'll need it.
Yeah. So, all right, Jake. I think it's fair to say that we have.
Wait. They haven't left.
Well, no. I'm just.
All right. This period is adjourned. We'll come back in, have a recess, and then reconvene in a couple minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Jake. It's fair to say that we have hearts and minds on our side so far, and I think that it's important we lean into what the jury is already bringing up. Things like tanks, like the Abrams, already have a jet engine inside of them.
Oh, don't you worry. I have all of this. I have all of this in my presentation.
Oh,
that's
great.
upcoming.
Also, we have Tim as an expert witness who is technically on Team Jet, which means he knows all of the counterpoints in his witness presentation already.
Now,
I am relying on Krusty coming to give me some questions.
Yeah, and
part of it as well later on.
Yeah, we have talked about that already. We're allowed to cross-examine witnesses.
I have a surprise for the jury at one point about a certain type of testimony relating to knowing a fighter pilot personally.
Also, I have
real quick, actually.
Huh.
I'm starting to see a little through line. Did you guys just get into an argument about Top Gun? And that just led to that?
Yes. So to give the full and complete backstory, at one point, Swag was like, what if we can interview a fighter pilot? And I was like, Swag, they literally do the equivalent of sitting in my chair all day and just jerking around from side to side. And he was like, but that's cool. And I was like, what do you mean that's cool? And he was like, oh, you're one of the people that thought the Top Gun was mid, right? And I was like, absolutely. It was the most okay film I've ever seen.
We have.
I did an interview with the guy who flew the SR-71. I think he's like, if you look him up, he's known as the fastest guy in America, which is a very funny title, but.
I mean,
okay.
I'd rather watch, I think, Transformers 2 again than watch that.
Oh
but that's just me.
He's an upstanding guy.
That is a take.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Okay. Also another thing the SR-71 is really cool because it's not a fighter jet. It's a spy plane. It goes really fast. It can avoid fighter jets, and therefore is cooler than them.
Well, no, we're just talking about general jets, aren't we?
No, we're talking about
just
fighter jets. Fighter jet versus tank.
Fighter.
Just fighter.
Because early on, when this argument first started, I brought in like cargo and stuff like that, and they said no, only fighters.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's exactly right. Judge, I would like you to remember this for future reference, Judge. This is specifically fighter jets versus tanks.
Mm-hmm.
If they start trying to bring up other kinds of jets, that is outside the scope of this trial.
What about? So is there a limit on tanks?
No, all tanks are fighter tanks. There is no broader spectrum of tank. A tank is a combat vehicle. Jets, they have to apply their trades.
Combat vehicle specifically?
Yes, a tank is specifically.
A tank does. A tank.
Yeah, so
there
there's a
is
difference-
actually debate as to what counts as a tank. Does it have to be tracked? Does it have to have a rotating turret and so on?
Mhm.
And we will
Could it
touch on that.
actually
I have chosen a slightly a balanced view, in that it has to be tracked. It has to have a gun, but it does not have to have a rotating turret.
Okay. I was gonna
Namely
say
things like casemate style tank destroyers would count because they're
Yeah.
armored, tracked, have a big
there are
gun,
certain
but don't have a rotating turret.
There are anti-air tread vehicles that are functionally tanks that shoot specifically like high velocity flying targets and things like that.
Yeah, because you have
boxes.
Yeah.
'cause you have to be careful with it. Because, like, for
I have one more thing. When in the, I know this is a bit of a sore point, but in Swag's opening statement, he claimed that you need natural 20/20 vision. That is not true anymore. The Air Force will accept you if you have either LASIK or correctable to 20/20 vision.
Now, don't you worry. We're going to take care of this whole fighter pilots being greater than God.
Oh yeah,
nonsense
yeah.
here.
I have a whole thing. I have a whole thing prepared about fighter pilots actually being kind of wimps. And I know I will get flamed for that, but that's the point of the trial. So I will accept the consequences.
It could be a massive hole that you're gonna have to climb out of.
Either way, however this trial ends, I win.
All
Because
right.
either I win with tanks or Jets win and I'm happy.
Can we
So-
call the plaintiff
I'll go.
back in here?
I'll go grab
Okay.
him.
Okay.
I can go do that. Hold on.
All right.
yeah. When somebody talked a second ago, like just before we got like fully started, though, they're like, "Yeah, eventually we're just gonna just play D&D."
The back end,
I wouldn't
whatever.
say,
That's okay.
yeah, I straight up have a homebrew campaign that I am running right now for my players, and I could just port it over for everyone.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think I'm running a homebrew one and I play into back home. I think Skipty's running a homemade one as well.
I
Nice.
always run homemade homebrew campaigns just because I hate books.
Me and my client have returned.
Okay.
Well,
Excellent.
hello. Well,
I will shut
everybody, I
up.
believe court is now back in session. So, the prosecution presents evidence. Reads
Plaintiff.
sketchy notes on hand.
Right. I'm guessing this is where I come in with all the false facts that Skipty claims that I have about the history of aircraft, which he has no evidence to suggest. Because that is actually not the direction we're going with, as we were told that this is about coolness and not about usefulness. Right.
Do you have
I
evidence?
would.
I'm guessing, is this going to be evidence focused, or are you going to present and like talk about it through stuff? I just want to know where I need to be looking.
I will first submit some evidence and then also eventually bring Jake onto the podium where I will give him a brief questioning on quotes that he has said. But I'll try and keep this brief so we're not going to essentially take too long. Right, people of the jury. If I have your full attention, I would like to talk about 5 little factors about coolness. What do we consider cool? What is defining as cool? And I've always said this is a subjective factor. But if you're going to make a statement on whether something is cool or not, it's always good to look at popularity and what is considered cool by the majority and not the minority, unless you're a hipster. Which I imagine Jake will claim he is, but that is not a factual statement that I'm going to
Hey,
create.
listen, keep going.
Objection, Your Honor. Under no goddamn circumstances is any Southern gentleman gonna ever be described as a hipster.
No, that's pretty true. All right.
If let's start off with the movie business, which I would like to draw attention to. Obviously, the big movie hit that was Top Gun Maverick. Looking at this case, we decided to compare it to probably a tank equivalent to that movie being Fury. Now, it's subjective that whatever film you prefer. Personally, as a historical point of view and just in a movie, but I actually like Fury quite a lot. However, I don't think the general population would agree in a sense that just by looking at the blockbuster, sorry, not blockbuster, the box office revenue from these movies, you're going to have a very interesting, look at the comparison, considering that, looking at evidence, get done 12A, if you look here, the total earnings of the box office for Top Gun Maverick was 1.496 billion. We look at essentially the Fury box office, and we get 211 million. Right. Okay, maybe because Top Gun has a bigger name to it. However, I would suggest looking at the original Top Gun film, that not only had a smaller budget, but still made more money than Fury. Which just suggests that the general public prefer watching movies about jets fighting each other than a movie with a scene with just a tank driving up to another tank trying to shoot each other. Now, we can look at other things rather than movies, such as air shows compared to tank shows, which I imagine none of you have ever been to, unless I am mistaken. But let's look at comparisons to like the largest tank festival, being Tank Fest, which had a show up of around, in their record-breaking year, of 26,000 visitors. Looking at the Paris Air Show, we can tell that the visitor outcome was massively larger. Over, I could probably not read the number, but over 10 times more. And this is not just a current thing. This has been a thing for decades. Looking at early air shows here, and even when we look to the crowds of these tank fests, we can see a massive comparison between these crowds and the air show crowds that are just greatly more larger. And when I say much larger, hugely larger. But don't take it from me. Take it from actual video evidence that we can hear. We don't need to watch the 10-second clips of these clips. Let's look at a tank, for example, at Tank Fest. And I'll give you a good example. A Tiger tank, one of the most famous and iconic tanks of the Second World War. And we look, and it's driving, and it's driving, and it's driving. And it goes around a corner, and it's driving, and it's driving, and it's driving. We can simply just switch over to a Paris air show, for example, once this video is loading. And here we can see what is far more awesome and superior is an aircraft turning at rapid speeds, going upside down, full maneuverability. Now, I have a lot more evidence, but I realize I am taking my time. So I would just like to call Jake to the stand for a brief point, then I will end my first form of statements of evidence. So I will request to ask Jake some questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on board, so
He's on board.
the motion stands.
Right. Just giving my evidence ready. In one of your statements, Jake, you mentioned I'm going to put it in the evidence locker right now. From this quote on the 4th of July, you made, actually, I believe it's the 4th or the 5th of July. 4th of July, yes. A very patriotic day, as we can all agree. You made this statement here. Let me just quote it. Like, do you know how fucking boring NASCAR would be if it was just a cockpit view? Did you say this?
I mean, based upon the evidence in front of me, I do believe I said this at one point. Now, I would like to defend this statement. A little.
I would like to. I allow you this. Well, the judge has to decide, but I allow you this. But I just would like to finish my point and be.
No. You go ahead. You go ahead and
Fin-
you lay out your you dig
finish
your
the-
grave.
Get to the point that you want to get to.
Yes.
And then we'll
Yeah. Don't worry. I will. Very quickly. So you said, NASCAR, but if you had a cockpit view. Now, would you be surprised if I told you that was actually a real sport or motorsport? It is called the Formula One. It's essentially a motor race with a full 360 view, or I say 180 view, the same as a pilot is given. Now, when we compare these two sports, we can see that one is vastly more popular than the other, with Formula One being the most popular motor race on the planet, with 87 million people in 2020 watching. But with NASCAR, well, not as much. In fact, if I believe him correctly, the NASCAR American audience was around 2 to 12 million. Now, I would say that, and you can respond to this, that given my argument of popularity suggesting coolness, would you not say that NASCAR with a cockpit view would not be a better sport?
Now, you see, I think you misunderstand the point of this statement. The point was that watching Tom Cruise do the equivalent of sitting in an office chair while getting yanked to the left and to the right is not a very entertaining movie. And granted, yeah, it was kind of nice to see the planes, but when the majority of your movie is watching a Scientologist get shaken up, down, left, and right inside of a cockpit, that's a pretty boring movie in my opinion. Now, in terms of NASCAR, down here in the South, where true gentlemen live, NASCAR is a very, very popular sport. We don't know nothing about this Formula One nonsense or any of that other stuff. But NASCAR, in its pure form, is very, very inspiring to watch from the stands. You don't need to watch it on TV. You need to be there in person to watch it. You don't watch it from a cockpit view. You watch it live and in person.
Is there anything else that that Krusty you would like to ask the witness?
Not so much ask, but to clarify to the chat. What I am arguing here is Jake is comparing tanks, jets, with NASCAR. And I am simply saying, and what he is trying to insinuate, is that NASCAR wouldn't be cool if you had a view similar to a jet. Because, I mean, as you imagine, if you've watched NASCAR, it's quite a claustrophobic, small-viewed cockpit, essentially, when you're driving. And what I am saying is, well, there is a sport of racing with a full 180 view of your surroundings, and it's called Formula One. Which
Objection, Your Honor. This train of logic has gotten very far away from tanks versus jets, which I think is the true meat of what we're trying to decide here. We're not trying to decide if NASCAR is cooler than F1. He's misrepresenting my client's statements.
Brought up NASCAR.
I just wanted to do that.
I would like to say your client was the one who brought up NASCAR as evidence. In previous
like 5 fucking weeks ago.
Actually, it was last week.
Same difference.
It was brought up outside of. They haven't officially submitted their evidence, so while vaguely tangential to the point, I see where you're coming from. I will ask you to speed this up. I want to see tanks and jets.
Okay. I will then use quickly a very brief point. In the U.S. military, which branches of the military use tanks?
The Army.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the Marines.
Okay. Well, would you be surprised that I'm guessing because jets are just so cool that not only do the Air Force use jets, in fact, the Navy uses jets, the Marines use jets, and NASA uses jets, and the Space Force uses jets. But also at the same time, the Army, the counterpoint that you were saying that they are the real brains, that they are the ones that are actually useful or not. And I'm not discussing usefulness here, don't worry. But one thing I would like to bring up is this video here, which was a common occurrence in the Gulf War of U.S. troops witnessing a A-10 Warthog, which would normally fly across the skies of Iraq and purposely use its gun to bolster the troops on the ground. Now,
if I may,
that's up to the judge.
Judge.
Excuse me. Why are you?
That's
this
Tim is
facilitate-
Once again, Tim cannot sit
objections.
idly by.
There's a thing you need to say if you have an objection.
Tim,
Objection.
Tim, you are not on the legal council. Either become part of legal council with me or wait your turn.
We let him back in.
I cannot stand idly by and let these wretched falsified facts stand in court.
Your Honor, we would like to
I
temporarily
use-
add Tim the News Hound to our legal counsel so that he may object to the use of this evidence.
His objection is saying that I have no evidence to these claims while I am.
No, it is not.
Okay.
You said
No,
that the
wait.
United States Army used-
Hold on.
What?
Judge, will you allow this?
You know what? Fuck it. I'll sustain this.
You stated that the Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Army all use fighter jets, correct?
No, I did not.
Then what did you say?
I said the Marines, Navy, Air Force, NASA, and the Space Force use jets. I said the Army has A-10 Warthogs. Not they have them. A-10 Warthogs will fly, and the U.S. Army will get bolstered by the presence and use of A-10 shown in the video.
However, if I may, the NASA, very good. Air Force, indeed same. And Navy, yes. However, the A-10. Presty, what does the A in A-10 stand for?
Army, I guess?
No, it stands for attack.
Yeah, go on.
It stands for attack. It is an attack jet, not a fighter jet.
No.
Oh! A-10 Warthog, outside the scope.
It's not outside the scope.
Your Honor, A-10 Warthog, by definition.
However, I'm not finished. If Krusty wishes to use this measly example of a jet as evidence, I will permit him. I will not stop the opposition sabotaging themselves. Thank you, Your Honor.
Damn.
What the fuck? You just came in to be like, fuck you guys, but do your own thing.
I would like to have the A-10 Warthog removed from evidence, Your Honor. It categorically is.
I would not.
No.
Skipty, please permit me. Please permit me. I would like it to stand. I have my reasons, and they will become clear later on.
Your Honor, I retract my objection. My expert witness has advised me.
The jury are getting mad. The jury are getting mad about it.
They are getting real mad.
For a bit longer, a little bit longer. Make your point.
Oh, I'm disgruntled.
If I may, I agree that is not a fighter jet. However, your whole point here, right, is that you're saying tanks are cooler than jets in general, right? This is what I was on the understatement. Not just fighter jets, because then you can use loads of different aircraft, for example, that are very similar to fighter jets, but are not actually fighter jets. Am I on the same page with people, or?
I mean, I don't know. Hell if I know.
Hey, Jake's just a simple Southern man with a heart of gold. Leave him alone.
You're goddamn right.
Okay, well, if
What
we
he's talking
extract
about tanks is different.
if we extract from the Warthog, then, as you seem to insist, it's just still, the fact remains that multiple corps of the military, use fighter aircraft in service. But I don't see NASA using tanks, and I don't see the Navy using tanks. I could be wrong, but I have not found evidence of this. Rest my case.
You guys need to learn when you rest your case. You rest your case at the end of the trial.
Okay, fine. I don't rest my case, but I allow for the opposition to come forth.
I guess, yeah. Hold on. Present your evidence.
All right. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Jesus Christ. So I think it's pretty clear that the plaintiff has based their argument off of popularity, pop culture, what is considered appealing to the masses. They're leaving out some pretty key details, though. For instance, not all people see tanks and jets at their best. I would like to direct the jury to Exhibit A. That's okay, Tim. I would like to direct the jury to Exhibit A, which is an actual tank moving at speed. Now, this is a demonstration of how fast and how agile tanks actually are in combat. Their ability to move great distances and reposition themselves as terrific anti-material weapons is just really cool to watch. And I think that's something that the plaintiff has left out of their arguments, is how actually cool it is to watch these machines perform their duties. Because if you paid attention to their exhibit of a jet and how cool, quote unquote, they are to watch, that jet wasn't really doing anything. It's just kind of a flat plane, if you'll pardon the pun, that doesn't look very impressive in motion. No parts of it are moving. It doesn't have any special, aileron rolls or anything like that. For the most
Objection,
part,
Your Honor.
well, it's
Objection, Your Honor. Someone in the chat donated $10, and the chat's wanting us to.
Oh, I see.
I was about to say a pause because the $10 donation is actually from the supposedly unbiased jury, something for tanks.
All the jury is vetted, so I mean, no,
the jury
they're
has
impartial.
the jury has submitted new evidence.
I'll allow a brief aside for this.
Thank you very much, Dax78.
DAC 78, thank you so much. And
so
no,
7 has submitted evidence submitted new evidence. What is there like a word for it where it's like at the last minute and it's like there's new evidence.
I'm gonna call it super evidence.
Super evidence, yeah. So what's the super evidence? Apparently fictional tanks. Star Wars tank. That's your...
Oh, this is absolutely correct. I'm gonna save this as emergency exhibit A2.
Understood. There's also another point that I think Cardinal Fox raised, where at some point we should both decide what the definition of cool is.
I think that it's up to the jury to decide what cool is. I believe that we are trying to inform their decision about what cool is. However, thank you to DAC78 for this super evidence, and it does truly add to tanks in pop culture versus jets in pop culture. I will submit this to the evidence locker as well. Mm-hmm. I need to make sure I get this right. The NR-N99 tank from the first Star Wars film, and yes, I am saying that Star Wars Episode 1 is the first Star Wars film chronologically in the universe, uses what is clearly a tank, a treaded vehicle with mounted weapons, It also is used to carry troops. These tanks are objectively very cool, and there is no equivalent to jets in all of Star Wars. Any aircraft in Star Wars is categorically a space fighter, not a jet. So as you can see, pop culture continues to enjoy tanks. Meanwhile, jets are just a stopgap from older modes of transportation to spaceflight. Pop culture...
Your Honor, may I make an objection to that?
He's not even on a team!
That someone else jumps up the crowd, kicking and screaming into someone's legal team.
Would like to object. That's fine, but I also too have an objection.
Yes. So my objection
up to
to that is, we've all heard on the topic specifically of pop culture. We've all heard of the Red Baron. I think a lot of us, especially on the topic of Star Wars, have heard that Ewan McGregor's brother's call sign in the British Royal Air Force is OB2. And even when something's really cool, or when an edgelord wants to sound cool, they call themselves an ace, which is a term of endearment derived from fighter pilots with 5 or more confirmed kills. Name a culturally popular tank commander that's not a fictional character.
I object to this objection. This is just new evidence that they want to introduce during my argument.
I was going to say objection, though. Spaceflight fighters, as you call them, are essentially just jets in space, considering the Star
Objection
Wars
to the objection to the objection.
God damn it!
If we allow Star Wars tanks, do we have to allow just like space?
All right. Everyone shut the fuck up for a second. So, fighter jets, space fighter jets, there is an overlap. I can see that. I see what the objection is here. So, whether that can be argued, I feel like it's down to the jet team to kind of peel apart in their own time, as we have a lot happening right now. And also, if you do want some more evidence, I guess maybe privately talk to the jet team, Mr. Merc at Arms, if you would like to submit something new to be added at the end of this little section of evidence put in. I love the energy, love the gusto. You had to fight like 3 different security guards to force your way on. So, I really do appreciate.
Yeah, I literally can't see it right now. I have both of my eyes are blackened by punches from Bayless.
I actually have not new evidence, but objection to the evidence of Star Wars. Because the point was that the $10 donation that was, I consider corruption, but never mind. But essentially, no, the objection is that while, yes, Top Gun Maverick is a fictional film, the aircraft that are used in it are actually real aircraft. So using futuristic aircraft in science fiction movies, or tanks in that matter, I just see as relevant evidence.
Interesting, I suppose. But is it cool?
We are discussing today, sir, of jets in reality, though. And sure, while yes, Maverick is a fictional film.
Now hold on. Did we ever say jets in reality was the argument? I didn't hear in reality.
I don't believe that was part of our case. No, Judge.
Actually, the original argument between Jake and Sir Swag was mercenaries based on aircraft, which should have been a factual document.
Based on aircraft. Based on aircraft, but also aren't many fictional machines based on the idea of tank and aircraft, and so can be associated with the ideas of either side.
The idea is we were discussing proven technologies that are in use today and not fictional.
Your Honor,
sci-fi.
we specifically are not discussing the use of these technologies today, as that would fall under usefulness. We're talking about coolness, and I do believe that this evidence of a Star Wars tank shows that tanks inspire more creativity in people who see them than jets do.
The idea? I'll allow it.
Amazing.
Kangaroo.
Thank God. So much of my evidence is based on fictional tanks. Thank God.
Fake
Jesus
tanks.
Christ.
The idea, the concept of the tank and the fighter jet can be used here, and I also think retroactively that makes the concept of the aircraft fighter, the A-10, and that evidence also more valid for the fighter jet team. The things that inspire similar ideas of fighter jets would still be of import here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
DAC78, thank you for this piece of super evidence. If anyone else would like to submit super evidence, just feel free to super
If
chat.
anyone would like to just
Flip everything.
bribe the court, yeah, we're down for that. Yeah. Anyway, continue your evidence giving.
Absolutely.
We convene on that in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you. My final piece of evidence at this point, Your Honor, is submitted from our expert witness. So I would like to draw everyone's attention to Exhibit B1, which is the bullet from a fighter jet. Now you can see it's quite a large bullet, but as our expert witness said when he gave me this evidence, this is you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. That is the shell from a tank, and I think everybody can agree that one of them looks significantly cooler than the other. One of them is just a bullet, but bigger. The other is heavy artillery, which is objectively much cooler. Thank you, Your Honor.
Understood. We get
Objection.
object.
What? Objection to what?
No, sorry. Carry on. I'm going to use this evidence later.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. But we do have some more super evidence from the chat. DAC78 would like to say that spaceships are not jets. Speeders with a cockpit would be jets. How do we feel about this? I'll actually throw that out to the jet team about how they want to define their jets.
Yeah, the jet team is absolutely free to use land speeders from Star Wars if they would like to. Someone asked you specifically a question, Your Honor.
Oh,
real quick,
in space
what
they're
about those
considered.
speeders in Star Wars? The ones on Koth, the ones that tied up the massive walkers.
Oh, that does seem very jet-like.
Those are jets. I don't
They
see
do
them
feel
as
like,
toast.
they do feel like jets.
But I would argue that X-Wing is more like a jet as well.
Objection, Your Honor. Compared to as for the X-wing comparison,
Well, no, you don't need to object, Tim. Mr. Milk with the super evidence. Your Honor, in space they are considered ships, not jets. So the jet team's argument is invalid. So tanks win in space because they are still tanks, but tanks in space. Versus if it is in space and flies, it is a spaceship.
Your Honor, you
well,
made the claim about
okay.
inspiration to aircraft and space
How-
fighters before.
I appreciate the super evidence. However, I am objecting on different grounds. One where my expert witness knowledge would be pertinent.
Tim,
and
save it for when you're called as a witness.
I would like to say that on the evidence of the idea that ships that fly around like jets in space don't inspire the idea of jets that are in space is silly to me in this conversation. Just because technically it is a ship and aka it's like Space Navy. It's a flying jet with wings. It's not like boats are cool. I like boats. Hey. But the X-Wing fighter is not like based on a speedboat. Pretty sure it's not based on a speedboat. You can fact check me. You can look that up and submit that as evidence later. But I mean, I feel like they're different, you know? It's not... I'm gonna say that they basically are like space jets. So I think they're fine to be used to.
That is
that
the...
okay?
May I provide my argument? I agree if the judge allows it.
Go ahead.
Okay. I do actually agree with everything you just said. However, this is about jets.
Yeah.
A fighter jet is powered by a jet engine. Starfighters, well, yes, they are like jets. They are powered by rocket engines. In the engineering world and associated scientific degrees, Jets and rocket engines are distinct features, or distinct devices. They are not the same, and therefore a rocket-powered fighter, such as the real-life ME-163 Comet, is not a jet fighter. It is a rocket fighter, and therefore is outside the scope of the trial.
But they look pretty similar, don't they?
I mean, yes, but however,
I can add something here.
I was gonna say, if someone on the street was like, "Is that a jet fighter?" as they saw it go past, and they were like, "Yeah," then I feel like it's pretty fair to be like, "That's the idea of the fighter jets in there," even if it's not correct. Your association with it makes it seem cool. But I guess you can peel apart that and be like, "Is that then kind of like stolen valor that the jet has?" You could do that argument if you'd like. But I would say we're still thinking about the idea of them. So yeah, I think it's close enough still.
Thank you, Your Honor. That is very helpful. I will use that in the future.
I still believe the fact that they are relying on sci-fi concepts and not based on reality.
My most recent piece of evidence is not a sci-fi concept.
Into fiction to make their concept cool.
Now, what in the hell is this slander all about? We were supposed to be talking about jets and airplanes, jets and tanks and all other stuff, and now we're talking about X-wings and
oh, thank you for backing me up.
Snail tanks and nonsense. No, now wait just a goddamn minute here, you Yankee. I ain't done with you yet.
Not a Yankee.
You're a goddamn Yankee. But
I think technically Americans are supposed to be Yankees.
I do believe that.
I don't give a damn. I'll say what I want to say.
Your Honor, I would like whatever my client is about to say to be preemptively stricken from the record, please.
I object. Overruled.
Now, what the hell does that mean?
Say your magnificent piece, Jake.
Now, we focus too much on the nonsense here. What we really need to focus on here is what all of us are. Everybody watching the stream right now, we're all gamers. And at the end of the day, tell me what's most satisfying to do in a video game. Is it more satisfying to blow the hell out of an entire building with a tank, or try to fight with the controls of a measly fighter jet that could be blown up by looking at a tree the wrong way? Take, for example, the greatest franchise in human history, Command & Conquer. What are the best units in Command & Conquer? Is it the measly Orca pilots? Or the Firehawk jets? Or the Venom jets? Or the stealth bombers? No. It's the Mammoth tank. It's the old one. It's the tanks that really star in these video games that we all love. In Battlefield, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a tank? Would you rather have a jet? Of course you're gonna say a tank. Of course you're gonna say a tank. In video games, tanks represent some of the earliest attempts to make a video game. Take, for example, the game Tanks itself. It's a rather rudimentary game, yes, but it is still one of the earliest forms of a video game. Now, these people over here want to talk about effectiveness and all these other nonsensical terms and facts and what they're calling facts these days. I'm here to talk to you, the people, because we don't need to tell you what's cool. You already know what's cool. You know that tanks, at the end of the day, they can level a house, they can level a school, and they don't even need to fire a gun. They just need to drive right on into that son of a bitch. And that's all that matters.
I believe my client would like to make a statement.
Mr. Swag, if you would like to come to the stand, please.
Okay, I'm definitely on the stand. I've been compiling a lot of rebuttals, so we're going to go through them one at a time.
All right.
All right. First of all, this is pretty minor, but Jake called us Yankees. We're not Yankees. Neither of us are American, unlike Jake and Skip there. Obviously, Jake is insane, and we should just discount everything he says. Next of all,
Objection, hearsay.
I'll allow it. Next of all, you have a very big shell of a tank there, which is very, very impressive. But I would say that the explosion from a plane is more impressive and a more relevant factor. Here is an explosion from a plane, as you can see, very big, much bigger than what could be made from a tank.
Did you just bring nuclear bombs into the argument?
Yeah, the first one came from a plane, I guess. But we can.
Objection. That is not a fighter jet. A fighter jet did not deliver a nuclear payload and has never delivered a nuclear payload.
But they have the capability, correct?
A fighter jet has not.
They have the capability.
Has
Objection.
not.
Further objection, Your Honor.
Missiles.
Further objection, Your Honor.
Well, okay, hold on. There's a queue. There's just one objection. Who objected first?
The objection queue.
The objection queue.
I objected that this has nothing to do with jets in any way. That explosion did not come from a jet.
And you objected to that.
I objected to Swag's.
I objected to the fact that fighter jets cannot use nuclear missiles. There is one jet in history that had unguided nuclear missiles, and that is the Northrop F-89 Scorpion.
That's a jet. That's a jet. That's true. What was anyone else object?
Jets can deploy nuclear weapons.
Yeah. Well, Tyler just said that.
But they have never in warfare. A jet has never delivered a nuclear payload.
Yeah, but we're talking about coolness.
We've also received.
We've never built one of those droid tanks in the Star Wars shows. I've never seen one in real life.
Right, but that was a cool tank. I think we can all agree. Nukes, not cool.
It's cool that jets can deliver payloads.
Some evidence has been submitted by Turkey saying shoot way faster, aka cooler, which I appreciate the gusto. The candor of this man.
New super evidence from Josh Link Watson. Fighter jets may start nuclear war, but tanks will survive nuclear war. Ships are coolest, though. The USS Nevada survived nukes twice.
Boats aren't here.
Boats are not within the scope of this. However, tanks have been documented to survive nuclear weapons tests.
Yes, but the concept of a fighter, essentially virtually every military fighter or attack plane can deliver nuclear bombs or payloads.
I have no objection to that.
Okay. If I may now present my objection.
What? Go ahead.
You forgot about the queue?
If the court may direct their attention to the evidence locker, there have been.
That's not a tank. Objection.
Yes, it's overruled. If you ask the average person, they would consider that a tank. It has a big gun and it is armored.
And we also defined that we were doing tanks with treads and a big gun.
And if you will take the first picture and zoom in on the shell that people are holding, you will find it says atomic on it. It is therefore a nuclear shell. And the subsequent picture to the right is an example of such a shell being fired. I don't know about you, but that looks like a mushroom cloud to me.
Objection, this is one example compared to our multiple examples, essentially any modern fighter.
This is multiple examples.
Would you like me to find more examples?
Those are two different tanks.
I would like you to find the same number of...
Alright, everyone chill out.
Can you do that one more time? Thank you.
Funniest thing is that's appropriate use of a gavel.
Yes. It's the only proper thing in this entire court.
The use of the gavel is correct.
Yeah. Okay. So, is this part of the witness bit? We kind of muddled over.
No, we're not in witness testimony yet.
My expert testimony is coming later. These are things I've thought of on the spot because Krusty is misrepresenting the facts like normal.
I'm not misrepresenting the facts. I've simply just said that every military fighter is capable of delivering nuclear shells. Is every single tank that is currently on the field at the moment capable of delivering nuclear payloads?
Yes. If a shell is made for the tank, they are perfectly capable of delivering so. Unlike most fighter jets, tank shells and of the like typically do not have very much to do with compatibility. If it fits in the barrel, it can be fired.
As we say here in America, if it fits, it ships for a low flat rate of $9.99.
We do love to hear it. I'm glad.
But
I'm
whose
glad we can
goddamn
be-
turn is it anyways?
I'm
It's-
glad we could all be here.
It's currently the plaintiff's turn.
Plaintiff's term.
It has been.
Is that us?
That is you.
No,
Yeah. Krusty's.
Wait,
I was going through my list before we
Swag
go
was
to...
talking about a list.
Oh yes. Sorry, you go on.
All right. Okay. Well, look, I'll make this my last one. Just, but besides Skip there, who can actually name this? Who knows what this is called?
It's a snail tank.
Now Jake thinks this is a snail tank. Jake could be wrong. Anyone else?
I mean, I don't pay attention.
I swear it has like a CT in its name or something.
Big wheel keep on turning.
CT's nuts, maybe. What's that?
Well, we seem to be not quite getting it, but does anyone know what perhaps this one is called?
I see.
Now, Your Honor, objection.
Uh-huh. What are you objecting to?
If we put the goddamn ad on this page, we'd be able to identify that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just because you put up the most obscure goddamn tank in Star Wars does not mean that you're automatically right.
Well, I believe that he didn't put up the ad because it looks nothing like a tank. It doesn't have treads. It has four legs, Your Honor.
It's a matter of the spirit that matters here, not whether or not it has treads. An AT-AT was designed based off a tank.
The judge did determine that the
Jake is
spirit
right
of
about
tanks
that.
is allowed.
Right.
It is
We
also
also-
all about the spirit.
We did qualify also when we were talking that a tank has treads.
That's interesting. Can anyone remember treads being on an AT-AT? 'Cause I sure can't.
There's a deafening silence.
Now,
I
Your
don't.
Honor,
I don't know what they look like.
now, Your Honor, can skip to go into Photoshop and
And put treads on an AT.
shred things on this AT-AT here.
I wouldn't be against it.
It's
I'd like
okay,
to see
Jake.
it.
Jake, we
Chop,
have.
chop, do it.
We don't need to worry about this. We have an ace in the hole. Don't worry.
I mean, I got ace in the hole. I still thought it was our turn.
I think Swag is at your last point.
Funny you should say an ace
God.
in the hole.
That's my last point. Look, it's this was actually inspired by jets on Earth. So I think the whole debate between tank and jet is a bit silly, but in Star Wars, it's obvious that these jet-like crafts are far more iconic and far more popular among the general audience. I think that's all I have to say. We can move on.
Okay. If the plaintiff is willing to cede the floor back to the defense.
Go ahead.
All right. Jury members, I think some of you may have caught a couple of things in that most recent round of arguments. The first is that the X-wing, as you know, as I can identify, I will be the first to admit I know what an X-wing is. Was based off of the Warthog, which, as our expert witness mentioned, is an attack jet, not a fighter jet. But that's not here or there. I just want to make sure that you're all aware of that the X-Wing was not based off of a fighter jet, but rather an attack jet. But more importantly, we have mentioned several times that the spirit of a tank is what we're looking at when we determine coolness. So if the spirit of a jet is able to be referenced in terms of how cool, say, a Star Wars fighter jet or spaceship, as it would be correctly called, if we're allowed to determine that these spaceships are as cool as the jets they're supposedly based on, then I would direct your attention to Exhibit G1, which is an example of an anti-aircraft tank, and Exhibit G2, which is a fictional vehicle that was based off of this design. Now, I think we can all agree that one of them is much cooler than an X-Wing. If anybody present would make the argument...
You really put Sir Swag in a corner here.
If anybody present...
I think my client has an objection he would like to make with the Titanfall comment.
I don't believe there's anything to object to here. One of these vehicles was definitely based off of a tank, not a fighter jet or an attack jet. And I don't think anybody will be able to argue against that point.
I object on account of him specifically saying anyone on that. The A-10 Warthog wasn't even invented yet whenever the X-Wing was released, Your Honor. The X-Wing was based off the Spitfire, which was the British RAF's main fighting aircraft in World War II.
Absolutely not true.
All right, everybody, simmer down. I can feel tensions rising in the chat. Sorry, the legal team. But yeah, continue your point, unless anyone has an objection that they would like to point out.
I would like to make an objection for this point. That it is a pretty good point, Skip there. But what are the Titan drivers in Titanfall called again? I can't recall.
I'll answer that question if you tell me what a tank
no.
driver is called. The use
I
of the
don't
word.
know.
The
No
use
one
of the
knows
word.
what a tank driver is called.
The
Does
use
anyone
of the
else here know
word-
what a tank driver is called.
The use of the
Yes,
word
I do.
pilot is ubiquitous in terms of commanding a vehicle for military purposes.
Does anyone know what a...
Yeah, Tim, would you please tell him what a tank operator is called?
It's called a tank
Tank-
commander. Thank you very much.
Negative. That is the person
It is-
who commands the tank.
It is a
The
tank
person who drives the tank is called the pilot.
There is a tank
Yeah.
team, I suppose, usually, so it is important to mention multiple people operate a tank.
This is true. In tanks, there are as few as 3 and as many as 5, 6, even more in a tank. There is typically a commander, that is correct. However, the commander does not drive the tank. They tell the tank where to go, but if the pilot decides not to, it doesn't go anywhere. The pilot decides where it goes and what happens.
I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you for shutting down that ridiculous counter-argument from the plaintiff.
No, I actually would like to object to that fact. Looking at the evidence here that I can put in one moment, essentially, a tank crew is made up of a commander, a driver, a gunner, and a loader, not a pilot.
And
This
indeed,
is
the
coming
driver.
from Army.mil, which, while I don't know official military army website, but it looks like they have a bunch of army military listings and locations for submitting yourself into the military. So this does look like it's coming from the U.S. Army itself, and according to them, it is a commander, a driver, a gunner, and a loader.
And yet you will find that the most common thing that's referred to the tank driver, the nickname, is the pilot, regardless of its official
I've
name.
never heard of this before in my life.
This
Is it? Hold on, I have it.
Looking at the sources, I
No,
received one.
he's
The judge speaks.
Listen to the gavel.
I feel like there's a lot of hearsay going on right now.
May I respond
He said,
to
she said,
Krusty's?
things are going on.
May I respond to Krusty's claim at the end, before the gavel went off, claiming that he has not heard of it? It is simple. It will not take long. I promise. One sentence.
Sure. I'll give you 15 seconds.
Okay. It is not my fault you are uneducated. Thank you.
3, 4,
I'm done. That's it. Thank you.
May I submit evidence?
Sure, what kind of evidence? Is it cool?
No, it's just a source that comes from the U.S. Army.
That's not cool.
It doesn't sound very cool.
Yeah.
That is interesting that you were trying to appeal to a British judge by saying you're getting intel from the U.S. Army.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I would be playing on your field, so.
Hey. But all, you know, it's all about international community, right? We're the international court that decides the fate of all things. Also, the team that loses all dies. So,
Right.
Keep that in mind.
If I may continue, I have another piece of evidence that is more based on, as we've mentioned, the pilots of both kinds of vehicles, the pilots of jets and the pilots of tanks. I would like to direct the jury to my J exhibit. First, Exhibit J1. Fighter jet pilots are simps. They paint cartoon girls on their aircraft. And this is not an isolated incident. You can see this in almost any famous example of a fighter jet. Pilots simping over their aircraft, giving them...
Objection, Your Honor.
This is objectively not cool. It is not a cool
Objection, Your
thing
Honor.
to
It is not a
decorate
jet.
your
That
craft
is not a
with.
jet aircraft, as the opposition has mentioned before.
If you can find me a jet that has the image on it.
The second
minute.
image, the Miss Angela, is indeed on a jet. The first image is from a propeller airplane. I apologize.
All right, sustained. Go ahead.
The
Keep going.
purpose of this argument is, what are tanks commonly decorated with? Because they move slow enough to actually be seen and thus cannot be so flamboyant. They're decorated with ghillie camouflage, which is cooler than putting your waifu on your plane.
I see. Though, Skipty, does this... It seems to be walking into the territory of usefulness.
This is not about usefulness. Outside of a battlefield, a tank with ghillie camouflage is a cooler looking vehicle than a plane that has a pinup girl painted on the side of it.
I don't know. Paintings on the side of your jets also seem kind of cool.
Yeah, because you don't... I mean, I don't know if the jet team want to submit this or not, but there are other things I imagine that could be painted on the side of a jet. That may have been. I'm trying to be unbiased, but like, you know, maybe. Who knows? I haven't seen it, so it doesn't exist right now.
I mean, if Your Honor, if I may just say, like, I guess this is one of these subjective points of what is considered cool or not. And not gonna lie, if I had a woman painted on my jet, I would think that would be pretty goddamn cool.
Objection, Your Honor. The plaintiff and his legal counsel are outing themselves as simps as well.
I see.
We have new super evidence from Josh Link Watson for $10. Says, ships strike again. Ship's driver is the origin of pilot. Also, land ships are tanks, and airships are fighter jets.
Again. I don't know who keeps letting this man with his boat shut in. I appreciate the candor, but this is about jets and
What's he
tanks.
gonna win this fucking debate? I swear to God.
You know what? I will allow ships to be added as an option. Just in case. Yeah.
And for $5, Dact78 says, if Titans are allowed, then does the North Star count as a tank or a jet? The North Star is definitively based off of a tank.
I see. Well then.
That is the last piece of evidence I would like to submit for now. I'd like to turn it back over to the plaintiff if they have more evidence. Otherwise, I can close out my argument and we can move on to witness testimony.
Yes, I have some evidence to submit. One of the biggest non-cool factors of a tank is being inside a tank. Your lack of visibility. You're essentially in a dark room with a periscope, maybe a window or two. Not really going to protect you much. But with an aircraft, the visibility and the views that you are capable of, seeing, is, I mean, I don't know if you don't think this is cool, but I can imagine that the general public and the jury will agree with me that viewing the Earth from the ground is a cool thing. And you may argue, well, you are still limited by your view. Well, incorporated technologies in aircraft have allowed, for example, the F-35. Its thermal imaging helmet allows for essentially the pilot to look through the aircraft itself. Now, maybe this technology will one day be integrated into tanks, but there just doesn't seem to be a demand for it.
I would like to point out the F-35 has one of the highest software failure rates of any currently in production fighter jet.
What do you say before that?
This is not an objection. This is just a side note to the plaintiff.
I would
What
like.
do you say before that?
I do have an objection.
Okay. Wait, before your objection, Mr. Milk will be heartbroken if I don't read this out. Tanks have flamethrowers, jets do not.
Hey, stop taking my evidence.
This is.
We'll get to it.
This would be evidence for later, I imagine. But to keep it to the point. Wait, what was the thing you said before, Skipty? I apologize.
Just that the F-35 has the highest software failure rate of any fighter jet currently in production.
Okay. I could then
That
argue.
seems. Hold on. That seems like a usefulness thing.
I was about to say usefulness.
Yeah. I was going to also
Usefulness?
say.
Usefulness?
I was also going to say. Well, about malfunctions on the current tanks in general. I mean, you can only just look at the amount of issues that current tanks are
If
having.
you would like me to answer that question, I can answer that now. Actually, I have that in my notes.
I'll allow this.
You would like me to answer that? Okay, so one of the most popular fighter jets of all time, the F-22 Raptor, costs $143 million to produce. Meanwhile, the M1 Abrams costs just $10 million. The F-22 Raptor has a failure rate that means the vehicles are not able to be in service for military combat. The Raptor has a failure rate of 1 in 6 versus the M1 Abrams has just a 5% failure rate.
Is that it?
All right.
That is the comparison of failure rates between fighter jets and tanks that you were itching for.
Again, usefulness. I don't want to hear about it.
Further
To-
I want to
objection,
hear about
please.
it. I want to hear about these numbers.
To discuss this point, if I may, I would.
Is it cool?
I would say it's cool. I would consider that proof that the F-22 Raptor, as you mentioned, it costs more than the tank suggests that has a higher demand, and I'm guessing if people want the jet more and spending more money on it, that the demand for it is higher, which suggests that it is a cool thing to buy. That would be my only objection. Yeah.
Talking about
Objection,
money.
Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
The current claim.
Hold on.
The current.
This isn't cool.
I think it is cool because
Alright.
it directly pertains to the evidence currently submitted.
Uh-huh.
Cressy has submitted the claim that the F-35 has capability to see through the plane itself. That is correct. It does. However, this means two things. Actually, no, one thing. I'll get to my other point later. This means the pilot doesn't want to see his own damn plane, first of all. And two, tanks have the same abilities. Modern tank helmets are capable of seeing not just through the tank, but through the walls ahead of the tank, too.
Now that is kind of cool. That's pretty cool. All right.
Real quick, so we don't miss any super evidence, I'm gonna play this every time someone donates now.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Perfect. That's good.
Speaking of which, there is one. Someone asked ChatGPT, which is cooler, and they did say fighter jets. Are we bringing AI into the conversation, or are we disbarring those who use AI?
ChatGPT is not on the legal counsel of any side. So, unless someone wants to add ChatGPT onto the other side.
Your Honor,
I mean,
I would like to add ChatGPT to our defense.
Your Honor, I would like to shoot my count.
Are we? Hold on. I have a legitimate question. If we allow them in, would that be considering AI to be sentient? As they can form their own opinions.
This is not about barring. This is about the
evidence.
use of AI to evaluate something.
I would say it's like a Wall-E situation.
See, Jake,
What?
no, if we
Go on.
They're like kind of sentient, but they're more just kind of like cute, and they can't really. You can pat them on the head. It's like a fun pet.
Can I make a slight counterpoint to Tim's point on seeing through walls for tanks? Why having to see through? I let the super chat.
You're
it
gonna
was
be really upset.
Mr. Milk saying just wanted to make the sound play.
Yeah. So why would you need to see through walls if you can just go over the wall?
What if there's a roof?
Be above the roof.
You can't see through a roof.
Your Honor, this is crosstalk.
This is crisscross applesauce. I think it's the term Americans use. So, we should move on from this. All right. Is everyone happy? I'm gonna guess no, but
It is still the plaintiff's turn.
yeah. The plaintiff. Do you have any more things you'd like to add before you go on?
Yeah, I can say one bit of evidence.
Also,
that I
just for
would
Mr. Milk.
Go on.
No,
He
that
just
was,
wanted to make the sound play.
Oh.
But you just found
he just did it again.
Yeah,
Hey.
I would just like to bring again, because I do believe, well, we seem to be having a trouble of defining coolness in this courtroom.
That was the wrong button, sorry. There we go.
Tokay, I would like to address your super chat, but Krusty already mentioned that in their evidence, that air shows are more popular than tank shows.
Yeah, thank you. I know, like I said, coolness is a subjective term, but it is always important to look back to public opinion. And I think Skipty has kind of proven this point by just the overwhelming amount of Jet supporters on the internet, throughout the world, evidence given through air shows and movies. And I would just like to say that, like, you can stretch the terms of tanks through sci-fi, you can say we're simps, but I would just like to say that obviously public opinion doesn't agree with you, which I believe the people's voice matters. Thank you.
But also, like, if the people's voice and opinion does matter, like, 30% of guys wash their hands, usually. I don't like that one. That doesn't fill me with confidence in the general populace. So sometimes I will just ignore the consensus of the grand homogeny that is people, because I want to wash my hands and not be gross. Potentially, it could be argued that fighter jets, in this case, are not washing your hands, or tanks, but who knows? Anyway, erring to popular opinion is a fallacy, I feel like. And you're better than that, Krusty. You have other arguments.
Solid, you're better than that from the judge.
I mean, I was gonna say, but isn't this at the end of the day down to the jury, which is just a public opinion?
Yeah,
So-
but they're like a curated public that we get to hang out and think are cool.
Okay, then if
Everyone in the jury washes their hands.
if this is the case, then I was gonna save this for later when talking to Tyler on the stand, but I thought I'd just bring this in now. And I think he made a great point on the 4th of July that there is 0 Freebird tank savages. I think I rest my case.
That's pretty compelling evidence.
There's more super evidence, and before I read that, Krusty, was that the end of your current round of evidence?
Yeah.
Is that the last evidence you have before witness testimony?
Yeah.
Okay. the new super evidence from a mystery in a box for 5 Australian dollary dues. Your Honor, who is the more memorable Transformer, Starscream or Bludgeon? I would like to address this very swiftly by saying that question is phrased incorrectly, because on my desk I have 2 Transformers, and I believe I can escape any arguments about arguing usefulness over coolness. This is purely a coolness argument. If I can return to my evidence screen.
I was actually going to say this is kind of spurious because Bludgeon, they bring up a very minor character.
Right,
Megatron is the main evil guy and turns into a tank.
I believe your point. On my desk here are Starscream in his fighter jet mode, one of the, as true Transformers fans would know, a Seeker class Decepticon, and next to him is Blitzwing, who is also a Seeker, but is a special Seeker, stronger than the others because he can transform into a jet as well as a tank. And I think we can all agree it's the additional form of tank that makes Blitzwing a memorable and intriguing triple changer Transformer who's been with us since G1, and I dare you to find a Transformers fan that does not remember Blitzwing for his tank form. As well as Megatron in the most recent iterations does turn into a tank, and he is the leader of the Decepticons. So if we're arguing coolness, the tank Transformers are usually the more memorable and cool ones.
But also, can't Megatron transform into a tank and a plane?
No, Megatron has never been a triple changer. He actually is most historically famous for his appearance in Armada, in which he turns into a tank not dissimilar to the Scorpion from Halo, which, as my client actually pointed out, during this argument that we keep referencing, he mentioned that the Scorpion is the coolest vehicle in Halo. I believe he specifically said Halo 3? Reach.
Now that is a good game.
If I may, you bring up memorability. Could the opposition, defendant, sorry, go on.
Tokay asks, would you rather ride in a fighter jet or a tank? I believe everybody would rather ride in a tank, as riding in a fighter jet would be a traumatic experience for most people.
Okay. Now, so about memorability. Oh, okay, thank you, by the way.
Quick, someone said Megatron didn't turn into a jet earlier. He did.
In the Michael Bay films, he has one film in which he can turn into a jet. I believe that's Revenge of the Fallen. But in every subsequent iteration, he turns into a tank in...
It was the first one.
No, you're right. It was the first Michael Bay film he turns into a jet. In the Revenge of the Fallen, he turns into a tank. In the sequel, I can't even remember what it's called, he turns into a truck. And after that, he's Galvatron, which is a canonically different character.
Okay.
Sure.
So I just wanted to bring back to rememberability. Can you name me a, and I'm going to use your phrasing here as much as I don't want to, can you remember a tank pilot? Can you name me one?
General George S. Patton.
That is a commander of an army, not a tank pilot.
Now hold it there.
And yet, before he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'd like to turn the tables on you here a little bit. Can you tell me a single goddamn aircraft commander or general?
I can tell you a pilot.
I didn't ask for no damn pilot. I asked for a general. No, you cannot. That's my damn case.
Again, that's at the end of the... It happens at the end. The people love him. The people do.
I would
Maverick.
object. I'm ejecting that fact because I'm referring to pilot. I'm using their terms here of what counts as a pilot.
If we're talking on your terms, then I believe Tim was just about to mention. Tim?
Oh, yes. Before Patton became the commander of the entire Allied forces in Europe, he was, in fact, a tanker. Hence why the Patton tank is named after him.
Okay.
I believe so.
Name me another one.
No, you asked for one. You said, could I name any single tank pilot? And General George S. Patton started his career
Okay.
as a tanker.
For one.
Another piece of super evidence: tanks are faster and easier to build. Specifically, for example, I build a tank shopping cart and not a flying shopping cart.
Damn.
That is pretty
my
basic.
point being that for any tank commander or whatever, or tank pilot that you mention, I can name 10 more.
Do it.
Can you truly name 10 fighter pilots?
Do it. Yeah, do it. Name 10 right now.
H.W. Bush, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin,
Objection, he's reading a Wikipedia page.
That's 5. Oh, 4? Was that 4?
Glenn.
Glenn.
This is correct. This is correct.
Glenn is correct. Oh, wow. Keep going.
Fuck.
I don't know no goddamn fighter pilot named fuck, but that's just me. So
Okay,
Tim has turned southern by being part of the defense.
You said you could do it, and I said no balls, and you got halfway there. I appreciate the candor, so I'll give you half a point for it. There is a point system. You don't know about it. Don't worry about it.
I mean, if I can increase it to 6 now, can I add a 6 to my?
Depends how cool their name is. Depends
What?
how cool their name is.
Red Baron.
he's not a fighter pilot. Well, he was a fighter pilot. He wasn't a fighter jet pilot.
I'll accept it.
Okay, still fair. I mean, he is a pilot.
I guess you could also count Obi-2 Kenobi as Merc had mentioned earlier.
All right. Sure. It's still half. You didn't get the full points. Anyway.
I'm sorry, everyone, but I must go.
Flex.
It is bedtime.
It was wonderful having you here. We really appreciate it. Everybody say goodbye to the voice of the news, Flex of Funk.
Yeah.
Oh,
Flex, do you have any final statements that you'd like to make about your opinion on this court case so far and how you're feeling?
no. I think neither of them are cool.
What do you side with then?
Ships.
He said,
I like big guns.
Yeah.
I don't care what they're on. You guys just arguing where you put them. I just like the gun.
Spoken like a
Big
true
guns,
blue
I
Aussie.
sure can help you there.
if Mr.
Gun
Gum
go
was
back. That's
Megatron,
what I like.
if Mr. Gum was Megatron, he would turn into a gun. He would be the one that turned into a gun.
The OG.
Yeah.
Enjoy your night, guys. I think Jets will win. Cheers.
Goodbye.
What a
What's
traitor.
cooler, speed or logistics?
That's not what we're
If you
talking
have
about.
no logistics, you cannot go fast because you have no gas.
That's usefulness.
You brought up usefulness with speed and logistics.
Is it-
Logistics are objectively not
Cooler.
cool.
Which one is cooler, speed
Is it-
or logistics?
Is it cool to
Factorio
be
or
park-
Titanfall 2?
Hey,
Yeah.
I feel like we, as people of the court, as, role models for our own legal system that we have imposed upon the people of this land, should move on to, I guess, are we cross-examining? now?
We've reached witness testimony, which will be
Witness
followed
first,
by
yeah.
Now hold on a minute. We didn't get our second time. They got their second time.
We
but
did.
didn't
I
get
gave
our
my evidence, which was the Transformers. I have
Now
one.
I have a damn piece of evidence.
okay.
Ignore my counsel.
Wait, if you have
Go ahead.
evidence, then wait. Shouldn't you just wait till witness testimony then, or is
No,
it real
God
evidence?
Damn it! I want to say it now.
Okay.
He wants to say it now,
He
and
wants
he
to say
has
it now.
a strangely charming voice that I still won't allow.
Now, as my To Kill a Mockingbird accent comes into fruition here, I'd like to ask the court, what is cooler, Leonardo da Vinci or the goddamn Nazis? Who created a fighter jet? None other than those damn bastards at the Third Reich. Now, who is often credited as the godfather of the bottom tank? Well,
Leonardo DiCaprio?
that'd be Leonardo, not DiCaprio, but Da Vinci.
Uh,
That Your Honor, is at the basis and at the heart of this argument. Do we think that the Nazis created something cooler than Leonardo goddamn da Vinci? And Your Honor, I'd recommend and I'd say to everyone, would you rather support the Nazis or would you rather support the Italian way?
It is spurious, but I do like it.
Might have won the entire case. I've never seen such an upset.
I do enjoy. I mean, it is. To be fair, also, it spins around very fast and fires lots of guns.
It does appear to do that.
If we're considering this a tank, all right,
I think it was It was called a tank of sorts.
then I would like to argue that, technically speaking,
Leonardo DiCaprio invented the tank. Yes.
Merc has
this
tried
was
to
never-
upset this evidence by
Well-
saying that this tank was never constructed, but we have established we're talking about the idea of tanks.
And the concept, and this was concepted.
Right.
Then could we not, technically then, say that, Leonardo da Vinci also invented, the fighter aircraft in spirit? As with evidence here.
He made plane, but there's no gun on that plane.
Eventually they
New
would
super
get them.
evidence for both sides. DAC-78 saying, on the subject of tank operators and pilots, one of the most famous tank operators was SSG Lafayette Poole, who destroyed over 200 vehicles, while the Red Baron only shot down 80 aircraft. Meanwhile, for the jet side, tank fatality rates are 30 times higher than jets. Our sources for both of these are, trust me, bro.
Yeah.
But these are also usefulness cases.
They are both usefulness cases, yes.
Now,
I mean, I think both of those are just cases of two badasses. But...
Yeah, big number is cool.
now, Your Honor, I have one additional piece of evidence.
Yes.
I personally know fighter jet pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and originally, one of my opponent's arguments was that fighter jet pilots are the coolest people on the planet. You, sir, have not met the United States Air Force. Fighter jet pilots are some of the dumbest sons of bitches known to mankind. Their only qualifications is that they have to be able to fit inside the cockpit. Outside of that, they just have to be good at hearing yes and no. Fighter jet pilots can at times have the brains of a 2-year-old. They are rash. They are incompetent. But at the end of the day, I'd rather someone that's slightly incompetent be driving a tank than driving an aircraft. Which I'd like to point to some evidence here that I've compiled. A very special montage of the great effectiveness and the coolness of planes while they're crashing and burning.
Oh my god.
Okay, if we're going down that road, then
No.
time to get my Ukraine tanks destroyed montage.
You can't just post a plane crash montage.
You think?
You see, that's funny because I just did.
Your Honor, I would like to object to my own client.
You can't uncrash those planes.
Don't play it, Skifty. Don't play it.
I would like to object to my own client here. One, planes are not fighter jets. And two, if this is... Tyler, I would like to point out, if this is hosted on YouTube, then it is allowed per YouTube's terms of service. But more importantly, most of these planes were confirmed unmanned. No deaths are documented in these videos. But these are planes, not jets.
I would like to object 2 points to Jake's piece there. One being that you may know a jet pilot. Yeah, buy this milk. If you were to you mentioned that you know a jet pilot friend who is, as you put it, a somewhat of a dumbass. Considering that for every 1,000 applicants who apply to become a pilot, only 3 get into the Air Force pilots, essentially, which is a lower percentage acceptance rate of Harvard University. As somebody who was actually studying to be a fighter pilot, the qualifications that were required were like just above my limit of what I was capable to do with mathematics. So you do need a form of education at a high level to be able to pilot a sophisticated aircraft. However, proven that if you look at the current conflict going on in Ukraine, they will be happy to dump anyone into a tank, anyone who is even trained. And my second counterpoint is, while he did just put a compilation of planes being crashed, I can find as many more compilations of tanks being destroyed in combat with the simplest of tools. So yeah.
Mystery in a Box came in with "See, even jets blowing up is cool."
Yeah, true. Planes are cooler when they get blown up.
Oh, you're right though.
However, I would like to mention, Your Honor, elitism, as mentioned, this low acceptance rate of fighter jets. Elitism is not cool, and the everyman can pilot a tank, which is cool.
Which is against what your client had just stated.
No, Your Honor, see, here's the difference. Think of a tank like the Nintendo Switch. You know, it's a very easy to pick up console. It's not very hard to pick up. You can put it almost any game, and anyone of any age can play that. Put a PlayStation 5 in front of your grandma or aunt or mother, and try to watch them play any kind of game. What you'll be witnessing is the horrors beyond your entire imagination. Tanks are the Nintendo Switches of modern military equipment.
I see.
We have
My counter argument is elitism is kind of cool though, because you look at like a pilot compared to your average grunt or jarhead.
Objection, Your Honor. Discrimination of any kind is never going to be cool.
based.
Yeah. You know what? That is pretty based.
So you have to know the judge.
I am brown.
We have
What's cooler, an average everyday grunt or a fucking Navy SEAL, the most elite fucking like special forces?
Navy
you got,
SEAls are a
who
copy
would you,
pasta.
Navy SEAls are a copy pasta.
The fucking British SAS or any other billion special forces, they're way cooler than the average grunts, and no one can dispute that.
Are Tim and Krusty just fighting with tanks and jets blowing up?
What is going on?
There does seem to be some kind of spurious evidence war.
Like in the courtroom, they're just like throwing pieces of paper at each other.
Literally just throwing it. Your Honor, we have just one more. Stop posting me. We have just one more piece of evidence to submit before we move on to witness testimony. And that simply, much like the character Guts from the hit manga series Berserk, tanks were born fighters. The little Willy, as you can see here, is a prototype tank that was put in service in late World War I, and it was invented as a fighting vehicle. Versus the first plane was nothing more. I'm ignoring it. I'm ignoring it.
Jake put a risky post.
I'm ignoring it. I am ignoring my client.
Oh, Jake. Oh, wow.
Your Honor, I would like to have my client stricken from the record.
9/11 is not very based.
Oh no.
Oh, continue.
The first plane was nothing more than a glorified pair of bicycles thrown into the air by a couple of craftsmen. The first tank was designed as a fighting vehicle that was put in service for war. That makes it significantly cooler than people thinking, oh, wouldn't it be neat if we put guns on paper airplanes? That is all.
Okay.
Objection, considering the first concepts of tanks moved at such slow speeds compared to aircraft, I would objectively say that aircraft, even at that time period, without jet engines, were still cooler than tanks.
The concept of tanks has existed since the age of the siege engine.
Also, if you go back to the concept of the Leonardo da Vinci tank, that spins around very fast.
It does. It does indeed.
It spins around very fast. Also, turtle and the hare. You know, everyone likes turtles. Or tortoise, maybe.
Turtle
Tortoise
and the
and
hare.
What?
Tortoise and the hare. Yeah, he goes slow, but then he wins. Main point of the story, I feel like, is that he goes slow and then win.
That is. I do, Judge, I do believe that is the main point of that story.
And it's, yeah. I'm not trying to be biased, but slow as an argument for not cool isn't necessarily, you know, there are slow things that can be cool.
From Mr. Milk and Josh Link Watson, we have more super evidence. Tanks have more anime shows about them. And it's 2 a.m. for me, so this stream is amazing. It's kept me up. Please keep up the good work. I'm sad to go. Thank you, Mr. Milk, for stopping by. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Milk.
And Josh Link Watson, once again on Team Boat. Can your plane or tank shoot Sudan-sized rounds like the USS Texas? Also, ships came first.
Very good point. Also, Air Force and boats though kind of have a nice relationship, considering that we both work with each other.
That's true.
That is
Don't
the
all parts of the military work together?
I would say Army and Air Force. Navy and Air Force are much closer related with each other, with the use of aircraft carriers and the fact that the Navy also uses aircraft.
Interesting. But that's also usefulness, isn't it?
that is usefulness.
I mean, I think it's cool that buddies work together.
Yeah, you know what?
Cooperation is cool.
You know what? Friendship is cool.
Dang it.
Hell yeah.
I was hoping he wouldn't go there.
What are tanks?
Don't worry,
friends?
don't worry, Skippy. I got this.
Okay.
But to be fair, tanks have a team inside them, which is also
Tanks
friendship.
do have a team. That is buddies working together. That's getting sweaty with the homies, and it doesn't get cooler than that.
Army only works with the Army, from what you're saying.
A lot of modern aircraft do have a crew as well, though.
That's
Yeah, I
true.
wonder where that's
Also,
why
yes.
wingman
Modern
comes from.
aircraft, not fighter jets.
Yeah, wingmen.
I believe the F-16 and F-18 have a co-pilot.
Also,
The F-16 is only single pilot.
I mean, aircraft in general still have to have like a network of other aircraft to communicate and scramble radar and things like that.
They don't have to.
I mean, like they do though at some points.
So do tanks.
That is the end of the evidence that we have prepared. So if the plaintiff is ready, I believe we can take a brief recess and then reconvene for witness testimony.
Yeah, witness testimony time sounds good. All right.
Yeah.
Court is now out of session. We're in a recession.
We're in a recession.
Save your money.
The GDP is shrinking rapidly.
Cost of living is going up. So
Just like to let my client know that I will be on the toilet and then I will be back.
Just notify us when you've returned from the toilet, please.
We'll be in the classroom.
Yeah, just go to the room first.
Okay, so Jake,
Swag's still here.
I know. I need to ask you a question before we even discuss
There
our
you go.
strategy.
Sure.
Do you want me to ask you opinion questions or fact questions?
Now, Skipty, what you have to realize here is my opinions are facts.
God damn.
all right.
That's my answer, I guess.
Been saying that for years.
Okay.
No, Skip, if you want to, like the presentation I have isn't super long, so if you want, you can just click through it and pull questions out of it. I guess if you want.
I'll have a look.
I think it's pretty good too.
I'm gonna have a look at your provided testimony. I do appreciate your gusto.
I will be presenting it to the court as well. This is
You said it's not very long. This is 55 slides long.
What?
What the hell? Oh hell no!
I think the idea was lost in translation of like facts and cool.
No, it's up to the jury to decide what cool is. All right, it's just up to us to convince them that tanks are cool.
Yeah, but imagine this, okay? You either have like the list of facts, or you have those really cool infographics people make.
How many slides is this?
55.
I'm not seeing.
But okay,
Yeah, that's a bit of.
They go quickly. They go quickly.
It is mostly memes, so I don't. There's and like single words on one slide, so it should go very fast.
Maybe we put a time limit up. I'll keep track of it.
I had a time limit for witness testimony. I think didn't I include that?
10 minutes.
Yeah. We'll throw a 10-minute timer up on screen.
Yeah, see, because I refuse to animate my slides, so instead of animating, I make a new slide when I want to change something. That's why it's 55. That's also why my last Swag Academy was 107.
Right.
What?
Yeah, his last Swag Academy, How to Build a Plane, was 107 slides long.
Tim, you are out of fucking control.
And who's coming to stop me?
Dax78 actually brought up a good point that very much annoyed me when the plaintiffs mentioned this. The term at and AT are technically interchangeable, but no one calls it an at. It's AT.
ATAT, ATST, ATTE. Like people will say at, but no one calls the ATTE an ATI or an ATA. No one calls it ATRT and ATRT. They call it an ATRT. So why would the ATAT be any different?
I mean, yeah, it's not called R2D2. It's R2D2.
Mail Toaster says 8.
Exactly. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if he is not the only one.
Jake, if you mention 9/11 one more goddamn time, I will reach through my computer and strangle you.
like Swag dropping like the nuclear bomb for his evidence. Jake's going in with his nuclear bomb the fucking towers.
It don't matter to me if I'm still standing because those two towers aren't standing.
Yeah. Video.
Hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Heading for the Pentagon.
Lyle, wake up.
Now, you could also make the counter argument of, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what are passenger airplanes if not tanks of the sky?
Stop.
Nope.
Shut the hell up.
Oh, wow.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tim.
Okay, good. My AirPod.
They just cut out again. Cardinal Fox, if you need more than 2 slides to win, you don't deserve to win.
Cardinal Fox has been very best throughout this conversation. Though I feel like they are quite biased.
If it really comes down to it, I can leave it to just one.
To just one slide?
I believe slide number 2 sums it up, Skipty. If you wanna,
No, I see.
have a look at that one.
I saw it. It is quite.
Yeah, okay, good. That's what I thought. If we absolutely need to, I can leave it to just that one. But I would like to say that the rest of them are good too.
No, there will be a 10-minute timer, and I would like to put a moratorium on objections during witness testimony, as the testimony itself is the entire piece of evidence. So an objection should only come after the testimony is given.
Okay. I object to the objection because it'd be fun for the witness to fight back.
That is funny.
To be fair, though, I feel like if me and Krusty got going, it would take forever to stop, though.
It would. It truly would. Cardinal Fox, the judge said you were based, not biased.
Yeah, there is danger in having
I said
dialogue with
was
witnesses
based and biased.
because what is this entire situation if not the witnesses being questioned?
Look, I'm just saying the testimony itself needs to be allowed to be completed. You know, like.
No, I'm agreeing.
Okay, because I am perfectly fine with the witness fighting back against the plaintiff. I just want to make sure the witness gets their entire presentation done. And I apply the same thing to Comrade Tyler, who will be providing testimony for the plaintiff.
Speaking of which, who changed my name to that?
Someone said you're working for the Russians in a super chat.
That's pretty good.
But it had to be Krusty who did it. He's the only one who can change people's names.
Is he now?
Oh, Max, are you able to do that?
Yes.
Oh.
Specifically only for Tyler.
I hope you burn your tongue on hot soup.
What?
Oh, that's the hot soup one.
Yeah.
That's the hot soup one. It was the nuclear option for soundboards, but you know, I felt it was appropriate there.
Burn your tongue on hot soup.
That has the same energy as, do you know who I am? I'm the man who's gonna burn your house down with the lemons.
Solid.
Should we get everyone back in?
I told Swag that we're ready for them. I think this is going just swimmingly so far.
Yeah, sure. There hasn't been it.
We've only shown multiple compilations of tank destructions
Look,
and plane destructions.
I had nothing to do with that.
There hasn't been any this flagrant contempt of the judicial process.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have full contempt for the judicial system. I hold myself in contempt.
Don't worry, we'll get
my
there.
life around.
Because Jake went into the jury. He was a he's talking with the jury. He's sweet talking.
Your Honor, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Swag.
I see you had your name tag on.
Your Honor, you can't.
Yeah, Jake joined in.
Listen to those Brits then.
Swag and Krusty, we have placed. So there will be a 10-minute time limit on witness testimony. Just the testimony. Question and answer can like cross-examination can happen after, but just the testimony. There will be no objections allowed, and there will be a 10-minute time limit on the testimony. Can you agree to those terms?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So no objecting to Tim during his testimony, but feel free to question him afterwards.
Yeah. I'm just confirming. We're asking what our people are testifying. Are they just saying what happened?
Well, my witness testimony has prepared a thorough examination of the differences in coolness between tanks and jets. So, also, Tim, I'm getting some feedback from you.
Are you?
Yeah, just a little.
Oh. Yeah. I don't know how to fix it, sorry.
But, Plaintiff, I'm sorry if your witness is not as well prepared as our witness.
I hope he is.
Isn't coaching the witness not allowed? Just
No, you do coach the witness.
That's the whole...
do
Witness
that.
coaching is a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you could whatever tactics you want to do to sell your shit to me.
We have established that anything goes in this court.
Well, I think I have proven with evidence that Tyler has some great points on why jets are cooler than tanks. So,
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
we reconvene from our recess, and we're ready to move on to witness testimony.
The court is now in session, motherfuckers. Right. Is it plaintiff going first then?
Yeah, plaintiff goes first.
All right.
right. Okay.
Starting your 10-minute timer now.
Well, no, they need to call the witness to the stand.
I'm
Ty-
about. It's hovering.
Yeah. So Tyler, would you like to come to the stand, please?
Can I walk?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can walk.
Okay.
Take your time.
I'm waiting for the scene transition change.
No, it's changed. It's changed. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, it's changed.
I got you.
All right. So Tyler, could you tell me what you witnessed on 4th of July on the Discord chat?
Well, I'll be honest. My 4th of July was pretty eventful, and seeing that it sort of it put a damper on the celebrations that day. I saw something I didn't expect I'd ever see. Some L takes in the general chat.
Yes. Could you communicate with us about your friends and other Discord chats that you were communicating with on their takes of this conversation?
I'm gonna have to like scroll up to look on that. I proposed the question to multiple different communities, and well, you're not gonna like this, but it was pretty split on those.
I see. And you trust these people?
No.
I like to recall a quote that you said, but I've used as evidence before. But you mentioned that there's never been a free bird montage of tanks.
Unless one has been made, yes.
Why do you think that is?
I think that is because usually people use those because, you know, free bird, that seems like a plane. That's what the song is associated with.
Okay. I was going to say something more about that. I'm just going through your chat at the moment as well.
He's very honest.
Yeah, you should trust this guy.
Yeah.
So when you were looking at the chat with Jake, did Jake seem like he was coming from a sensible position?
I mean, listen, I don't want to come out from the stand over here. I feel like if I walk in between like the two benches right there, he's gonna like tackle me. He's always been a guy who's on edge. I feel like he's like a hair trigger away from doing something that he might regret.
Are you saying he's like vicious or violent towards you?
I do not feel comfortable saying on the stand.
Okay, understood.
Objection, Your Honor.
No objections. Objections are not allowed during testimony.
I flinched.
I would have no regrets.
Tyler, were you aware of why this conversation had started in the first place?
Allegedly, it was over a debate over Top Gun and interviewing a fighter pilot.
Well, you see, there was more to that. You see, they wanted Swag was proposing a video idea similar to our past mercenary video, to have the same conversation with essentially fighter pilots, which I can put in the evidence locker once I get off this chat. But do you think it'd be more interesting in a video to talk to somebody who's flown planes or somebody who has driven a tank?
I've listened to people
Did you just say objection?
No, objectively.
Oh, okay.
Objection. I do not want to answer this question. No.
Okay. Have you ever been to an air show before?
Oh, I could answer yes, I have.
Okay. Have you ever been to a tank show before?
Unfortunately, I have not. I would like to attend one, though.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one advertised in your local area?
Yes, actually. I think I've seen one before.
Yeah, and you didn't go because
I was working.
Okay. Good to know. When you went to an air show, what was the feeling you got when seeing aircraft fly?
I felt uncomfortable. It was really loud.
Really loud. Okay. And you did you get to go near the aircraft?
Of course. I went inside of a FedEx plane.
Oh, nice. Was that a cool experience?
It was like I was in a metal coffin. I got a little bit scared and I had to like scurry myself out.
What other aircraft did you see?
They did have the Blue Angels fighter jets there.
Did you see them fly?
I did.
Would you say they were more maneuverable and faster than any tank that you saw? Well, you've ever seen videos of before?
Well, before the trial today, I would have agreed that jets were more maneuverable. However, as we saw from the opposing counsel, I did see a tank drift, and that's pretty sick.
Have you never seen a video of an aircraft pulling something like a Cobra maneuver before, which is essentially like air drifting?
I have not.
I mean, if you've watched the Top Gun movie, Maverick, you would have probably seen an Su-57 do it.
I've never seen any of the Top Gun movies. In fact, I assume that they made the sequel because they want another half-naked volleyball scene.
Okay. When you were at this air show, did you get to see any of our aircraft fly besides the Blue Angels?
Well, of course, we had like some of the old classic fighter jets, World War II oldies.
And those were still cool, right? Even though being, 60, 50 years old?
It was pretty neat.
I see you're avoiding the word cool.
Well, cool's a 4-letter word. We have to avoid that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to ask.
Do you have any other witnesses you'd like to bring to
Well,
the
no. So he turns this witness over to me by saying, "Your witness."
Your witness.
Thank you. Tyler, during your testimony, you mentioned a few things that I find very interesting. First, I just want to clarify, what qualifications do these communities that you pose this question to have? What exactly is their experience with military vehicles, whether it be in real life or, let's say, hypothetically, in a digital sense? What might their experience be?
Probably just Arma 3, and that's it.
Interesting. Second, you mentioned that you're scared of my client, Jake the Analyst.
Terrified.
Since he represents tanks and you are on Team Plane, doesn't that mean you are more scared of tanks? They inspire more awe in you?
Well, you can be scared of the representatives,
Sir, this is a yes or no question.
Ask the question again, please.
Would you say that you are more scared of tanks than you are of jets?
I would not say I'm more scared of tanks.
You would not say that. Okay. Finally, you swore on a Bible before you came up to give your testimony, did you not? So
I mean, I tried to get it switched out with a deluxe edition of Berserk, but it didn't work out. We couldn't get it in.
He swore on the Gamer Bible.
He swore on the Gamer Bible. So you must answer this question honestly. Is the following statement true? You are scared of flying.
I don't want to be up here anymore.
Your Honor, I rest my question. No further questions for the witness.
What?
Scary is cool, though.
You have to...
He is right.
I mean, that really depends.
Look, you have to do your research. You have to do your thorough research.
Is also scary, and I don't think that's cool.
Thank you, Judge.
Just throwing that out there. Horror movies, scary and cool. Certain things really depends.
Two things can be true. I just would like to point out that the plaintiff called up a witness that is scared of being in the very vehicle they're defending. Someone said plead the fifth. That was a pretty optimal place to plead the fifth.
Despite me being on the stand right here, I have a counter question for you, Mr. Prosecutor. Or defendant. What are you again?
I'm the defense attorney.
What are you again?
You get to call up the witness.
The witness reaches over and grabs me.
Are you afraid of space?
No. Why?
You're not afraid of space, but you could say that it is quite reasonable to be afraid of space and spacecrafts.
Hey, you can call him up as a witness in a bit.
He's not even on the
I think the witness is spitting facts.
Wait, who gaveled my gavel?
Your Honor, I do want to call my expert witness up, but first I would like to call a very brief surprise witness to the stand.
You have to wait in this witness mode. We have 20 seconds.
I'd like to call a surprise witness, Sir Swag, to the stand, please.
Yes, sir.
Sir Swag, I just have one very brief question for you. Could you please tell me the 3 roles of heroes in the hit game Overwatch 2?
Oh my god.
Could you repeat the question?
Can you please tell me the 3 role types of heroes in Overwatch 2?
Let's see. You got.
They're commonly known.
Sweat dripping.
You got damage dealer, and I really like damage dealers.
As they're
because you have
commonly known,
Pharah,
please tell me the names of the roles in Overwatch 2.
Oh, you also got Tracer. She was a fighter pilot, and she was really fucking
Can
cool.
you please tell me
I don't recall any tank drivers in Overwatch. They might add them later.
Your Honor, the witness is dodging the answer to the question, which is DPS, healer, and tank. I would like to, unless the defense has any unless the plaintiff has any questions for their own client, I would like to call my expert witness to the stand.
What? Sorry, say that again.
Unless you have any questions for Swag, I would like to call Tim up.
Swag, what role do you play most commonly on Overwatch 2?
Oh, I play support.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
In fact, tank was so unpopular that they had to reduce it to 1 tank per team.
That is not the given reason for the tank's extra role removal, but
the timer is done. 10 minutes.
The given reason was actually balance because tanks were too strong on the field. I apologize. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Now, if I may call my expert witness to the stand.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, if the ladies and gentlemen and others of the jury and those present may direct their, eyes, I guess, to the courtroom screen, I have my testimony presentation now. So,
give me a second. I need to get it open.
What's up? Is it not working?
No. I just have to get it on the screen for everybody to be able to see.
Yeah. So go fast.
Whenever the court is ready, I'm ready.
Ready. You're ready.
Go.
Okay. You. This is the court title, and there we go. Here we go. I think this picture is a very good starting off point. Pretty obviously, makes sense, doesn't it? Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Reason 1. Guns. You basically nothing not to worry about. This has already been trialed, so we'll just go a bit through it. 810 gun, 30 millimeter by 267. That's pretty big. You can see that there. It's about the size of his forearm. And here's an M1 Abrams. That is 120 by 986 millimeters. It's the size of his torso. Now, the first number in that is the shell's diameter, which means that 4 of those ones on the left would fit in one on the right. Seems pretty big to me. I just want a smaller gun. That's the shit no one ever said. There's no AC/DC song called Small Gun, and as we all know, AC/DC is really fucking cool. When they make a song called Small Gun, until then, not happening.
Big gun.
Now, because the plaintiff is Australian, I think we would put this in a way that he may more understand. That's not a gun. That's a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing you see here is a Soviet gun, and this gun you will find is 600 millimeters diameter, which is significantly bigger than the A-10. And in fact, if you want to go off of just any plane ever, the largest gun ever fitted to any aircraft is 50 millimeters, which you will find is still smaller than this one. Next, reason 2, flexibility. Part 1, fuel.
All right.
Aircraft fuel needs all of this garbage to work. You need like heptane, octane. It's an exact mix. The fuel itself is toxic. You need corrosion inhibitors. You get tracked by a missile. Bunch of garbage. No good. The M1 Abrams tank, meanwhile, because of its very flexible engine, can run on anything. Diesel, GP8, gasoline, methanol, rum, butyl, marcopan, your friendly neighbor, your alcoholics drink cabinet, whatever.
And these are
Now, just in case you
confirmed
don't-
use cases, correct?
Yes. Anything flammable. Anything flammable. Is it a liquid? Does it burn? It'll work. Part 2. Armament. Jet fighters have good weapons. Nothing can match them. That's me when I lie. Weapons on a fighter jet. Guns as big as Fernando's credibility. We've already established they're small, and as Sir Swag has previously described, Fernando is not very credible. Seems like a pretty reasonable justification to me.
Is that the Battlefield 1 tiny pistol?
Yes, it is.
Hell yeah.
All right. Missiles that lock onto the sun. Fun fact, the sun's hot. IR missiles like to go to it. Although, to be fair, the missile guidance system is very good at roasting things. This is true. Next, explosive eggs. It's an Angry Birds plane, enough said. Yourself. When you're out of every...
Huh? Is that the
Let him finish.
Is that the last emperor? Of
Let him
China?
cook. Let him cook.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
No, this is Emperor Hirohito. And famously during World War II, and still to this day, if you run out of ammunition for your tiny guns, you have all your missiles have gone to the sun, and you're out of eggs, what do you have left to shoot? Nothing. Yourself. Next question.
God damn it.
Somehow
These
Hirohito
jets
has returned.
have room. These jets have room for like 2 people. If. Most fighter jets only have room for 1 person. In fact, every fighter jet produced since the 90s has room for 1 person. Except for very, very few specialist jets. Most of which are not actually fighters. Now, tanks on the other hand, see? No good. I sleep. Tanks on the other hand have a gun the size of a small country, as you can clearly see here. That's a big gun. Grenade launchers. You can launch grenades both either from the tank itself, or you can mount a 40mm grenade launcher on the top of the tank yourself. Flamethrowers. Flamethrowers. Look at the picture. What do you think? It's cool.
We have 2 pieces of super evidence here. A mystery in a box says, as you can see, I've depicted you as a soy jack, therefore I win. And Cardinal Fox says, remember they removed Bastion's tank form from Overwatch. 2 great pieces of evidence.
But didn't they remove it
Next.
because it was too strong?
They did remove it because it was too strong. That's why I'm very happy with that piece of evidence. They removed it because it was too strong.
Rocket launchers also on tanks. So pretty much from those 4 we can see, we have bigger guns, we have better explosive eggs, we have flamethrowers. Yes, you have napalm, but it's an explosive egg, and it's worse. Enough said. And our rocket launchers are better, and we have more of them. Furthermore, there's room for the whole squad. Look at that. Look how happy those guys are together. Chilling out, relaxing, cruising along, having a good time. Real shit. Part 3. I would be in tactical situations. This is useful, so we'll speed through it. Krusty has previously described this. This is inspired by a real event. Be me in fighter jet, see enemy troops, strafe them, obliterate all their stuff, return to base. Turns out I just shot a bunch of friendlies and killed 26 people. And grievously wounded the other 2. Can't provide support for friendly troops nearby. It is not cool to shoot your friends. This is a fact. You can't help if the enemy's inside a building, you don't want to destroy it. I want to use the building. I don't want a pile of rubble. There's a lot of work to clean up. Hard countered by thunderstorm. You can't fly in a thunderstorm. Meanwhile, tanks, they can provide cover for all the homies. It's like Reinhardt if he had a big gun and was even cooler than he already is. Speaking of, his suit is called the Crusader. The Crusader suits and the suit he's with is also the name of a tank, the Crusader tank. You want to clear the building without destroying it? No problem. Put a grenade through the window, set it to the perfect point, problem solved. POV, you're at a refueling station.
Alright.
That kind of says it all, doesn't it?
What is it?
Not
What
to
does that have
mention-
to do with? I'm sorry.
What else
I'm
can you
sorry.
put on a tank? You want a bridge? You want a bulldozer? No problem. You just want to switch around a few things? No problem. I mean, who doesn't want to look a river I want to cross? No problem. Bring a tank. We have a bridge. Next question. Reason 3. JoJo reference. Bad company. Infantry, special forces, tanks, helicopters. What isn't there? Fighter jets. Helicopters, but no fighter jets? Aren't even the best thing that flies. But wait, what do they have on the ground? Tanks. If JoJo doesn't include jets in their own super military, they aren't very super. Thank you, Your Honor. That will be all.
Phenomenal. Excellent evidence. Thank you so much for that wonderful witness testimony, Tim. One more piece of super evidence from the chat. I want to see someone say, "Drive me closer. I want to hit them with my sword in a jet." You can't. Point tanks.
That is a thing someone did say.
Yeah.
In Warhammer. Yes.
Now that is a Warhammer reference. Point tanks. Tim, I have just a couple of questions for you before I turn you over. Let me switch back to the witness stand here. So first, please tell us what qualifies you to discuss the matter of tanks versus jets.
So I am an engineer. I have researched both of them. I have taken account engineering feats of both of them. Both are very impressive machines. This is true. And I just consider both to be cool machines. However, I do consider tanks also cool.
Now, please tell me, could hitting a bird cause the destruction of a jet?
Reasonably so, yes. The engines the turbine blades in them are very sensitive to obstructions. Hitting a bird would reasonably likely cause damage. Also, the front of the jet, the nose cone, on nearly every jet, including fighters, is very, very soft. Hitting so much as a pigeon would likely destroy it. And on jets that are extremely sensitive to electronics, that would cause damage. It's not cool being killed by a pigeon.
And is hitting a bird likely to cause the destruction of a tank?
Unless the crew is allergic to them, probably not.
Okay. I believe that is all the questions I have prepared for you, Tim. Your witness, plaintiff.
Thank you very much. Very well done on the presentation, by the way.
Thank you very
nice.
much.
I enjoyed the Soy Jacks memes very much. But there's a few points I would like to question you on about. You showed off an example of a tank turning into a bridge to, essentially help other tanks use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or other vehicles. Well, let me ask you this. Does an aircraft need a bridge?
Can an aircraft help the rest of their friends cross on the ground?
But does it need to help its defense cross? Because it needs to be by itself, or in a crew a crew of aircraft that doesn't need help with defense or going across defenses.
Well, it turns out infantry win battles, and if you got no other ground to claim the flag, kind of stuck.
Okay. You mentioned later on that and no gun has been fitted to a plane that is more than, what do you say, 50 millimeters?
Fitted to a jet that is bigger than 50 millimeters.
Well, you see, you've been using examples throughout this court case that qualifies a tank but doesn't qualify as a tank, and I'm getting really confused of what qualifies as a tank at this rate, because none of these pieces of evidence suggest that they are tanks. So in this situation, I'm just going to use another aircraft, being that the AC-130, which has a 105 millimeter gun.
Is 105 bigger than 150?
I thought you said 55. Sorry, 50.
Yeah, but if we're comparing it to tanks, 120 is still bigger.
No, I was just pointing out a misinformation on your.
It's also not powered by jets. It's propeller.
Yeah, but like I just mentioned,
Two excellent points.
The lines that you've driven on tanks, I'm willing to. I should
if
be
we're-
grounded.
if we-
I should be
if we are
grounded.
This is, Judge, please weigh in.
We have already established what a tank is previously. I'm more than willing to reinform you if you've forgotten.
You've used examples of vehicles that are not tanks before.
And
You mentioned the large cannon on one of those vehicles. That is not a tank.
we have established that a tank is any vehicle which is tracked, armored, and has a large gun. It does not necessarily have to be a turret or a rotating turret.
Interestingly, the plaintiff has yet to provide an adequate definition of jet.
I mean, you haven't given me an acquitted definition of tank because you keep using different pieces of equipment that doesn't come across as tank. If you want to use this piece of evidence, I won't deny you that, but then that must be granted to the other side of the court.
Well, let's see. What do you? All right, Krusty. All right, what do you want?
No, I just want to say that.
What's the point?
Please submit a picture of the aircraft in question into the evidence locker.
hit me up with what are you getting to?
Of course, I will add it to the evidence locker. Now, save. I'm trying to find the actual folder I put all my shit in. There we go. It's loading.
I would argue that is not a jet. And the argument in question is that a gun of larger than 50 millimeters has never been fitted to a jet.
Yes, but you did not use a tank when mentioning the gun size of that. By the way, not a tank.
Is it not
Very
a
good.
tank? But it does look like it. If I walked past
It was mobile artillery.
It is mobile artillery.
If I walked past
And
that,
Yes, but that is
I
not
would
the photo
think-
That is not the photo you used.
And yet is similar enough. The average person would consider that a tracked armored vehicle with a large gun a tank.
Your
It does seem
Honor,
like a tank. It does
if
seem
I
like a
may,
tank. Go ahead.
if I may, Your Honor.
Yes.
I think at the end of the day, what we're looking for and what this whole debate is about is that at the end of the day, a tank is a tank. A fighter is a fighter. And it doesn't matter what fancy, convoluted definitions you want to use. It just matters at the end of the day. If you look that vehicle in the eye, what do you see? I see a tank. I see a fighter. And that's all that matters.
Okay.
I believe he just argued in favor of the opposition.
I make my own.
That's big. That's
And
big of
then,
him.
I would like to say, even if we allow the AC-130, okay, loud applause.
Stop with the applause.
Even if, I'm muting him.
You can't. He's the judge.
You
Muted.
can try.
Don't mute the judge,
Even if we want
please.
to allow the AC-130 and disallow all the mobile artillery, I believe you will find that the M1, a definitive tank by every definition, is still a bigger gun.
Okay, but that wasn't the point. I was just making the point that 50 millimeters wasn't the largest. Anyway, we're getting off tangent here. I want to make my last point. Which actually kind of convolutes with your point. Because earlier in the court case, you mentioned that an A-10 is not a jet aircraft, am I correct? Or a jet fighter.
And yet we allowed it anyway, did we not?
Well, we did, but you did not know that before making that presentation. Which then you use as A-10 as an example when there was a friendly fire incident, which was committed by an A-10.
Being the omnipotent master I am, I anticipated you would use this. I anticipated that I would object to it, and I anticipated that the objection would not stand. Therefore, I used it anyway.
So what you're saying is, you were going to use it as an argument anyway, even though you sort of predicted that we counted the A-10 as a jet, even though you made the argument against it at the beginning of.
I believe this is yet another JoJo reference.
I think he's activated his trap card.
Yeah, so either way, I would win in this situation, because either we don't allow it, and you lose a objectively good-looking plane, and our case is stronger, or you do allow it, and I get to flame it. Either way, I win. It's really up to you which way you want to lose.
Damn, what an expert.
Krusty, your response to this is critical for how cool your argument is.
I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Everybody here is speaking gibberish and talking about Transformers. I am.
Objection, Your Honor. Transformers are cool.
I came into this court case to talk about real aircraft, to talk about jets and their coolness and how they inspire the world. But what I've come across is a kangaroo court where we talk about things that don't exist. And blurring the lines between what is a tank and not a tank, and what is a jet and is a jet, isn't a jet. And here's the thing. You talk about how, jets are complicated and sophisticated in your presentation, but doesn't that just make them cooler? Doesn't that just make them more interesting? The work, the complication, and the engineering that is required. And before I finish, I would like to ask you one question.
Who is you? Okay.
I presume the witness.
I like to. We've discussed many times in the past about aircraft and other military equipment, but I would like to bring up a bit of evidence to suggest that you might not think that tanks are cooler than aircraft. Because I have a backlog, history, and evidence of you supporting the other side. And I have screenshots.
No. Allow it to go through. I have my defense.
I have screenshots of you
I'm sure you
counter-arguing.
do. Please post them. I do not doubt you.
Well, I'm just gonna quickly scroll up through the mountains of fucking. What the fuck are we talking about here? Okay. You have to.
A mystery in a box. This entire court case is based on mistrial. So, if it wasn't in contempt of court, I'd actually forbid it to be in this court. So.
Wait, what?
Don't worry about it. I'm looking at the chat.
Okay. Okay. So much. All right. I've got the screenshots. Well, screenshots. I've got the evidence here, but a lot of these images that I have as evidence were posted by you, including one example of guns being on aircraft, which can we all agree here? Cool.
Mm-hmm. I
I
believe yes, it is. That is the gun from the A10, which we have established already in my presentation is inferior to that on the M1.
Okay, but that's a chain gun. That's pretty cool.
Okay, tanks have chain guns too, and they have more of them.
Chain gun, but that's a big.
That's
gun.
a big one, yeah.
That's a big chain gun.
Yeah, you. Okay, give me one, because I have to switch for the fucking chats.
I mean, the fundamental point is that chain gun could be fitted to a tank.
You have to rely on trust me, bro. When Jake posted his first arguments on the Discord, you were one of the first people to come in and counter his argument. Do you deny this
true?
or not?
No, I do not. Could you please inform me of the date this took place?
4th and 5th of July. I believe mostly 4th is where it
and
started.
Do you know what the day is today? What the date is today?
Today it's the 15th of July.
Are you saying that it is not possible for people to grow and learn as a person in a span of as little as 10 days?
Is this argument the call to I'm a different now? I'm a different man.
Development argument.
Then it comes across that you are an indecisive person, which I wouldn't count as a trustworthy person.
Ooh.
I would just like to point out to the court that the reason I chose Tim as my expert witness was because of his expertise and interest in both tanks and jets. I did not need him, although I very much appreciate that he is firmly in Team Tank right now. I did not need him to only be on the side of tanks. I just needed his expertise in both fields.
Okay.
Furthermore, I was not asked to prepare a presentation. I chose to myself. At first I believed that I was just going to come up and be asked questions, but then I realized, why don't I just make a presentation myself? I mean, I know what's cool and what's not cool, don't I? It is my opinion, after all.
Okay.
Indeed. If you look at the date there, that is the 5th of July.
What did you say to us? What did you say to us earlier before the court had started? When you entered?
I don't remember.
It was almost like you've been drafted rather than be chosen.
And that was
doesn't
yes,
seem
that,
like your that doesn't
that was
seem
me.
like your opinion's changed.
If I may be allowed to respond. That was my opinion. I was describing my opinion when I was first chosen, all the way back on the 5th of July. Indeed, originally I wanted to join Team Jets, but since then I have changed.
Someone in chat, Mystery in a Box said, "Did you kill this man?" "Yes, Your Honor, but I'm a different man now."
Okay.
I know. I like it. It's spurious. This evidence is spurious and inflammatory.
Okay.
And you like that?
Yeah.
I
It's funny.
I will. Okay. I will end this for now. But just to let you know that I have a feeling that after this court case is over, Tim will be saying many other things rather than tanks being cooler.
If we want to talk about cool aircraft, may I ask you one more question, Krusty?
Mm-hmm.
Can you please inform me of your favorite airliner?
No, that doesn't count.
Why
as a
not?
Jet fighter.
Are you scared? Do you have bad taste?
No, I wouldn't say so.
I think you do. If you're so confident in your taste, why don't you tell us what it is?
I'm fully aware that the A340 was a stopgap aircraft. However, it's a long boy and has 4 engines, so I love it. It's a very odd niche aircraft, and I love
If you
it.
take, Krusty is saying his favorite plane is an A380, which is objectively cooler, that has been cut in half and stretched in Photoshop.
I wouldn't say my favorite airplane, but my favorite jet
No.
airliner. Yeah.
You have told me before that is your yes. There you go. That is actually not even the longest one. That's the 300. The 600 is even longer.
I think I was under the impression that we're talking about jet airliners.
Yes, we were previously, but then you insulted my taste and implied I would flip. So is it not within my right to insult you and assume you would flip too?
I'll allow it.
No, I don't flip.
I'll allow
I
this
never flip.
furious slander.
Absolute
flip.
slander in your
teams.
saying.
Yes, sure.
Yes. Your favorite airliner is a cut in
hominem,
half
I
stretched
barely know.
A380.
Yeah, it's weird and wacky, and that's why I love it. It's different.
No, I'm not so sure about that one. If you really wanted a weird and wacky airline, there are plenty of other ones. But you chose this one? It didn't even sell well. Airbus hated it so much, they didn't even make a new one. They have an A330 Neo and the A350. They don't have an A340 Neo.
Plaintiff,
I'm aware of its imperfections, and that's why I love it.
Plaintiff, if you're done with my witness, or more accurately, if my witness is done with you, I think we can move on to your next witness testimony if you have one.
Yeah, I actually do. Surprise witness to be brought on, Mr. Swag himself, once again.
Yippee! Yeah, there he is. Look at that guy. I can't stay mad at him.
Now, my client has discussed with me before about Swag. Who have you talked to before in the past?
Oh, quite recently, actually. Well, while doing research for a video coming out soon, is a former tank driver.
Oh, that's very coincidental. May I ask, what did he have to say about his experience as a tank driver?
Well, I actually said to him, like, a tank driver, that's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, it was cool for about an hour, and then it fucking sucked.
Did he ever go into why it sucked?
He said it was very cramped and very uncomfortable.
That doesn't seem cool, does it?
No, I don't think it is very cool.
It doesn't seem cool.
I wonder how long, and you may not know this or not, and feel free to stay quiet, but how long would he be in a tank in a certain scenario?
I don't know this. I don't think he really talked about that.
Okay. But I imagine being sat in those seats for a while would not be very comfortable.
No, I think he said he fucked up his back at some point. I might have to go back and check that. But there's a reason that he swapped to intelligence halfway through his time in the army.
So intelligence is cooler than tanks, is what you're saying?
Perhaps there's. But look, all I'm saying is he could tell me a lot about tanks, but when I asked him about intelligence, he was like, "Not much I can tell you. That shit's real fucking hush hush undercover shit."
You know what else has been used for intelligence? Aircraft.
What, Krusty? Oh.
Such as very, very awesome aircraft, such as the SR-71. Which if anyone here in this courtroom would like to say isn't cool, then I'd like to question it.
I would never say that the SR-71 Blackbird is not a cool intelligence-gathering jet, but it is definitely not a fighter jet. Categorically cannot fight anything.
Its predecessor, the A-12, could carry missiles.
Real cool.
But we're not talking about the A-12. We're talking about the SR-71.
It was the predecessor, and it looks very similar.
Let him do this witness thing. Back down.
Yeah. Thank you.
It made me swing this gavel.
But yeah, I'm just trying to think. Is there any other points I'm thinking of? Oh yeah, Bastion. Why do you think they changed Bastion's abilities and all that? I'm not an Overwatch expert, but I hear you are.
I believe they reworked him to make him more engaging.
Oh, saying that he wasn't engaging before?
Oh well, according to the devs, they found him too static. They wanted to make him more interesting. You know, have him have more stuff to do.
Yeah, easy to hit essentially as well, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Sir Swag. If you've got anything else to say, please do. If not,
Thank you for the super evidence from 333M, which just says, Tim deserves a raise for being such a base Chad for his fierce tank support.
Just throwing this out here as well, because I thought about it when you guys were talking about it. Name how many, I guess, plane missions there are in Call of Duty, and name how many tank missions there are in Call of Duty. I looked it up.
Bro.
The only tank missions that exist is from Call of Duty Ghosts, and I think we all know how we feel about Call of Duty Ghosts.
I was going to mention this as Swag has been pushing me to push it as evidence. However, I was afraid of how much knowledge of Call of Duty people have, and I don't. So, but thank you for pushing this evidence forward.
Wait, are we not all Call of Duty lore experts?
No.
No.
But we talk about military stuff all the time. Why wouldn't we talk about something like that?
Last Call of Duty I played was Modern Warfare 2, like the older one. There's
Yeah.
another one I think now. But...
Yeah, that's where everything stops.
To be fair.
Yeah. The last COD I played was a fish from the river.
Huh?
But don't.
Based Tim.
Hey.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Who let that duck in?
I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor. Our counsel is ready to move into closing statements.
I see. Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Swag while he's still up on the stand? That's a hard no.
Was it worth it?
What was that? Your question to Swag?
Was it worth it?
I would like to, if I may, if the judge allows me, I feel bad for doing this, but if I would like to present one point, not to Swag, but just to the court itself.
This is a closing statement kind of thing?
I guess I could save this for the closing statement, yeah.
Right. So, Swag, if you're done on the stands, it is time for closing statements. So, Plaintiff going first?
Should we actually allow the opposition to do so first, as we've been going first the entire time?
That's not
Absolutely
how it works.
not.
Unless you have no closing statement.
No, I was just wondering if they wanted to go first or not. But okay, that's fine. Would my client would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first? I'm happy to go first if you want.
I can go first if you want.
Okay.
Let's see. I've been writing notes this whole time. Okay, first off, Skipty called us both simps, but may I remind the court that both Skipty and Jake are currently engaged, and I think that's they're the only two from the whole
marriage is
team.
gay?
Wait, what?
Marriage is sexual offense?
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest simp shit of all, getting married. Holy shit. Calling fucking sick fighter pilots gay. Fuck up, mate. It's off topic, but he's out of line, but he's right.
They're going wild for it.
So, Mr. Sir Swag then.
Wait, is your counter argument saying that they're gay?
No, they're simps and gay.
Look, that's just something I got to get off my chest. Like I can get onto the into the roof stuff now. All right. Look, fighter jets pilots has way higher viewership in media. Like everyone in the world thinks that jets are way fucking cooler. In fact, pilot is the #1 most popular dream job worldwide, and that is an absolute fact. In fact, flight attendant is more popular than tank driver, and that just says something, I think. Air superiority wins wars. Jets are faster. They do more damage, and troops on the ground would much rather have air support than tank support. Fighter pilots are elite. They need 20/20 vision. They need to be top physical form. They need a fucking
Here we go.
degree to fly that shit. Only 3 out of 1,000 ever get to be fighter pilots. Well, you know, if you talk to people who drive tanks, if you can drive a car, you can pretty much drive a tank. That's how they're designed. I think talking to an actual tank driver about this and him thinking that that's not very cool just kind of bolsters our argument even further. And I think I'm happy to rest my argument and put it on to Krusty.
No, thank you very much for that. That was a beautiful closing statement by my client. What I would like to mention is how tanks and jets are seen around the world. You see, when we look at aircraft, people are inspired. People are, as Swag says, every child sees a jet and would think it would be cool to one day be a part of that, be in that jet. And throughout history, though, we've seen examples of imagery of men standing in front of tanks to curb the wrath of authoritarianism. Seen in an event that, if the Chinese government are listening, I'm not allowed to say. And with that, where aircraft are vehicles of freedom and showing the world of globalization, togetherness, to transport from one place to another, and to essentially have full mobility of the air and the environment around us, while tanks are small, cramped, trapped, and constantly getting stuck in mud vehicles that just don't share that same image of what aircrafts can offer. And all I could ask for the jury today is that, remembering when you were a kid and maybe your dream job was an astronaut, or some of the coolest people you remember are the people who went into space and were the guys who took things to the limits of a vehicle. And all I could say is they all at some point had to be a pilot. Thank you very much.
All right. With the
May I lodge one objection quickly? Okay, I'm doing it anyway.
What's your objection?
All right. Would the defense like to make the final closing statements?
Yes, but quickly, one more from Team Boat. The closing statement from Team Boat is from Josh Link Watson. Closing statement: ships carry tanks and planes. Ships have more air kills against fighters than fighters. Ships have destroyed mountains tanks drive on. Biggest branch is the Navy. Ships equals USA equals cool. Well said. Well said, Josh Link Watson for Team Boat.
I looked away for like 2 seconds and I saw Tim was muted. What happened? I was putting on a shirt.
Judge, unmute Tim.
I muted Tim. He's
I am
unmuted.
unmuted. I have held my tongue for the opportune moment.
He's waiting for his moment for his shot.
Very quickly, I need to double check. So before our team goes into closing arguments, somebody who is both in the YouTube chat and a member of the Discord community, speak up. You will be appointed the voice of the jury. We will read out the jury's decision through you. We will not be allowed to look at the results of the poll, nor will any members of this court be allowed to vote in the poll, Jake. I've seen you crawling around in there. Anybody who is both a YouTube member and a member of the Discord, please speak up so that we can elect you as the voice of the jury.
Also, should I? I've made just a straw poll of just jets and tanks, with a link. Do you want me to post that in there soon or after your statement?
After my closing statements.
Wait, hold on a second. Doesn't the YouTube chat though have a voting feature?
Does it?
I'm positive it's not. I've seen
Start
it.
a poll. Huh.
I don't have a.
But I don't want us to be able to see it.
Yeah, you don't want to see it.
Right.
I want to see it.
Yeah, but that's not the point.
They don't see the results though as they're voting.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah, but he will.
I would. Yeah, I would see it. I would rather just put it in there. Mystery in a Box or DACT, but you both are so biased.
You know what? I think miniature.
Who?
No. Your Honor, I humbly have to disagree with that.
Are they biased? I haven't.
Miniature is not a YouTube member.
Oh, I see.
Whatever.
I
Well,
would go
someone
for mystery box.
someone in the Discord will post the results.
What about Samani?
Who?
Ooh.
They posted a bit ago saying what the hell, they started 3 hours ago. I suppose I'm just surprised. They don't seem like they have any
Fine. I'll say
hard
DACT
advice.
can do it because I've seen the most donations come in from DACT.
Wait, no, I actually think Josh Link Watson should, because he's been
Josh Link Watson, sure. Josh Link Watson will get to announce the poll results. Yes, I can abide by that.
Oh yeah. Okay, after your statement, I will post the link.
Okay.
Oh, now wait, do I get to go first?
Yes,
or do you?
yes. If my client would like to make his closing argument before I do, that is perfectly fine with me.
Ladies and gentlemen of the court, I'd like to wrap up this farce of a debate. You see, the opposition, they've tried their damnedest, and I do commend them for trying to fight such a losing battle on making jets seem cool. Most people on the planet Earth have a fear of flying, myself included. God did not intend for man to fly. I do stand by that argument. Think about how long God has intended for us to walk, or even sail, for the sake of the ship argument, across these.
There is no ship argument.
He's going for the ship vote.
Would propose a union between the ship faction and the tank faction.
What is this starting argument?
This is big. Keep going.
Let him cook.
Tanks, in a manner of speaking, are just more complicated land boats. And I would propose that, in the sake of camaraderie between such distant relatives, that we nominate hovercrafts instead. But regardless of all that nonsense, let's get back to whether or not tanks or planes are cooler. As I've stated before, planes were created by the Nazis. Some not very cool people.
Jets. My client is specifically speaking about jet fighter aircraft were created by Nazis.
They know what I'm talking about. Now, in addition, tanks have never been used in an act of domestic terrorism.
Jake,
Jets,
I
on
need
the
you to
other hand.
stop talking. Your Honor, my client does not have my client's best interests in mind.
Jets, on the other hand, have. And we all know domestic terrorism is not cool. Additionally, when we think about every kind of possible video game representation of a tank versus an airplane, A, Call of Duty sucks ass, it's not the first 5. But B, every single Battlefield and RTS game has the best units being the tank units, the siege tank, if you will, the mammoth tank, and the overlord tank, being the finest of examples. Now, at the end of the day, I implore the jury to ask themselves, if you had to be stuck on an air submarine or a confidently safe and reliable tank, would you not choose the thing that has ground beneath it rather than the thing that will plummet from the sky at the slightest thing, such as a pigeon looking at it? That is the thing I think we all need to ask ourselves.
Alright,
Does that conclude your half of the closing arguments?
May I
I
make
now would like to rest my argument.
You didn't even say rest your case.
Go fuck yourself.
He's learned. He's learned.
No, he did be wrong.
He did it wrong again.
May I,
What a hero. What a hero. What a champ.
may I make May I
Make
make
what?
my last?
Oh, right. Yes,
statement?
go ahead, Tim.
So this is now the second time Sir Swag has said that you need natural 20/20 vision to be a pilot. This is not true. It has not been true for a while now. Especially with the advent of LASIK, you only need correctable to 20/20. How else do I know this? My dad is a pilot. My dad does not have 20/20 vision, and he still flies. Thank you.
Alright.
I said fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fighter pilots don't need it either.
The source, because I said so. Alright. Let's skip to.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before my final closing argument, I would just like to mention something that didn't really feel correct putting in evidence, but I do think the jury would do well to see. And I mentioned this before when this argument first erupted on July 4th and 5th. But if I can direct you to Exhibit F. This is a scene from the film All Quiet on the Western Front in which tanks show up and absolutely obliterate the front lines of the German military in World War I. Once again, the Germans in a world war, not cool. Tanks being used against them, very cool. Scary tanks being used against Germans in a world war, very, very cool.
Yeah, but it just didn't exist in World War One. That's not fair.
Yeah.
What didn't exist? That tank?
Also, the Germans had tanks in World War One and World War Two.
What about that one movie where there's the 3 soldiers on a lifeboat and then like
I'm
a plane
sorry,
comes by and
whose
starts
closing
shooting at them?
argument
That's
is
terrifying.
this?
Continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I think it's pretty clear that both vehicles have a cool factor to them. That much I won't argue. However, if we're talking about the straight-up coolness factor of seeing one of these pieces of mighty military apparatus in action, I feel like our team has conclusively proved that tanks are cooler than fighter jets. Thank you.
All right.
All right, Your Honor. If you would like to post the link to the straw poll in the chat, and I'm just gonna say anyone who's in the Discord and in the chat, just after the time is up, post a screenshot of the results. You know, Dact, Dr. Meme Machine, you know, anyone who's down there. Just if we have as many people tell us the results as possible, then I trust they won't be doctored.
I put it in, but
you can.
link.
Oh, you can't put links in the chat.
I let you do it. I'll give it to you.
You should be able to do an announcement in the chat and just put the link in it.
No. People can't post links in the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
No, I mean in the like if you make like an announcement in the chat, like that does like a little overlay on the top.
Yeah, I just gotta send me the link, Max. Or did you post it somewhere?
I just keep sending it to you, so. Boop.
And I don't want to know if any of these people are voting for ships. Oh, you sent me the edit link, Max.
Oh, apologies. I will save this and do it properly. And then, yeah, there it is. Then actually, yeah, it should be fine. Bonk.
There you go. Okay, YouTube chat. The link is coming right here. There's your straw poll. I'll post it in the Discord as well. So while we wait for everyone to vote, man, what a court case, huh, guys? Who would have thought
You are not wrong.
such an explosive debate could come from such an honestly innocuous conversation between Jake and Swag? What else can we use this format for? Because I desperately want to do the same thing for original versus Brotherhood FMA.
Okay, you know,
Zombies versus aliens.
I want to get to an argument with you about that right now because you're just biased as hell on that because you were just raised like thinking that the other series was bad when
Which
they're both
series did you
equally as
see
good in their
first,
own
Tyler?
right. Like it's not even an argument
No.
of like one is better over the other. They're both good because they're both like trying to do something different.
No, the first series is better than Brotherhood. This is an indisputable fact. You know how I know? Because everything in Full Metal Alchemist, the original series that I loved, comes back in Attack on Titan. And I can prove that. Attack on Titan is just a remake of the original anime run of Full Metal Alchemist.
You're delusional.
I'll prove it in court.
You said you didn't sleep. I think you're a little delirious right now. You might need to lay down.
I appreciate. What did you just average tank driver? Yeah, you're not even calling them a tank pilot, Krusty.
They're not pilot.
You and Tim, I was worried.
They asked the U.S. Army itself. They call it a pilot.
I was worried that you and Tim were gonna like come to blows.
I'm not gonna lie. As soon as it started going into like, oh yeah, here's an example from Star Wars, I was like, ah, fuck. like this is not what I prepare for because I'm preparing with like real aircraft.
Well, I'm glad, you know.
We had to like kind of improvise on that one. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm glad we all had like a good civil discussion that never got into any kind of like
Never got into any
personal attacks.
yelling
or
or personal attacks
characters
on
of
people's
each other,
character.
you know?
I hope you burn your tongue on hot soup.
It was the fact like like one or two points there would be like a case of usefulness, and I was like, oh man, if this was a case of usefulness, like this would just be so easy.
Yeah, I know. I specifically wanted to avoid usefulness being brought up in any way, shape, or form because you guys would win immediately. It had to be coolness.
Real quick, I think adding boats was a really bad idea.
I know it was. I told you so. I said.
I knew that would happen. I'm sure boats would.
Do you have any idea how shocking the results of jets versus tanks and boats is the winner?
It's a little. No, it's not that boats is the winner. It's something. Oh, this is gonna be bad.
I was like, I was so like tempted. Like I had the my mouse trigger ready to like upload this image at like any point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Just the recounting of Operation Desert Storm.
But yeah.
Well, Swag, how do you feel the trial went?
I thought the trial went quite well, actually. My biggest surprise was that Team Tank could put up such a fight. I thought this was going to be an absolute sweep, but
Well,
like,
you didn't realize that Jake would put on his southern accent.
Yeah, the southern accent really gave us the
Oh
advantage.
shit, he's doing it to throw us off.
There were so many surprises. Like we were like, oh, this is solid. This is like they got nothing on us. And then as soon as you start bringing up random like.
Truly,
tanks,
the
I was like,
Nazis
oh, fuck.
versus Leonardo da Vinci was like the upset of the century, and I love you for that, Jake.
It's a good tank.
Team Tank did have a little more pizzazz. They won me over from that.
The one problem with the Da Vinci tank is the inside. It's hand cranked,
Yeah.
but if you look at the gearing, it would turn opposite directions, so it wouldn't actually work. It would just spin in a circle.
yeah. It's cool.
Objection: the
Goddamn
tank party's
Beyblade.
vote has been
What's
split
wrong with
between
that?
tanks and boats.
It's a Beyblade that was it's the first tank Beyblade. Bay tank. Bayworks.
Bay tank.
Tank.
All right, I think it's been enough time. Would a jury representative who's also in the Discord please post a screenshot of the current results? We'll wait for whoever gets the screenshot first.
Where do you want them to put it?
No, they'll put it in the general Sir Swag Academy Discord.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if anyone here is watching, God damn!
No.
I'll put it up in the evidence stand so everyone can see. Oh wait,
Thank you very much, everybody in the jury. Thank you.
It's a solid win for tanks.
Boats outdid
When you
tanks.
add the combination of the tank vote and the boat vote, you get more than the fighter jet.
I would actually argue that I find it
Argument.
funny that tanks didn't even get second place.
Stop the vote.
Brother, I demand a recount.
There ain't no recount needed. 12 plus
Thanks,
6
guys.
is greater than 16.
Look, guys. I don't know what happened, but some weird guy tried to replace me and say that tanks were better than planes. I don't know what he was talking about.
thank you, Tim.
Your Honor, I
Look.
predicted this.
Look,
Dude, that's the perfect lawyer position right there.
even what happened, I knew that I would win regardless. Either I win and tanks are cool because I win, or planes win and I'm happy, so I win.
Your Honor, once again, he is a changed man.
That's like a defense attorney being like, either I win because I get paid, or I win because a guilty person got punished.
Exactly.
I would actually like to appreciate the comment saying they kind of lost me when they brought up Star Wars. That's what I was thinking as well.
Look, we had to keep it completely hypothetical to even stand a chance. I was using BT-7274 and calling him a tank, Krusty. I was fighting for my life.
So now what we need to do is cut up a compilation and send this to Legal Eagle and Law by Mike.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
That's a really good review.
Yeah.
I
And also,
think-
Josh Link
Would
Watson
we-
says, I count 33 votes for land, sea, and airships.
That is absolutely correct.
Would we do it? So wait a minute. Why don't we just like send him the whole VOD? And have
Whole
him,
stream.
like, I don't really know
Because I don't think
know what
Legal
the hell
Eagle
we cut out.
cares much about the argument between tanks and jets.
Also, the bit where like all the videos of planes crashing got sent. It's kind of spicy.
Right. We'll cut around that.
Cut around.
Okay. I think that both of the witness testimonies, well, all three of them were pretty good. Because I liked just fighting with Krusty for 20 minutes.
So-
we were having like our little battle screenshots in YouTube links.
Yeah.
So it was decided that the punishment. Well, Max, as the judge, if you would like to dole out your sentence.
Oh, yeah, I guess. With the wise and noble judgment of the jury, I declare that it seems fighter jets have got the most votes. And so everybody who is on the opposing team or legal side of this case is immediately sentenced to death by hanging.
That wasn't what we agreed on.
So, yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Wow.
Hope you have a good time.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, the real joke is on Swag. Watch him produce a month of news without Jake.
Well, no, Jake didn't. Jake wasn't on the opposing side. Southern Jake was.
Southern Jake? Oh, okay. Goodbye, Southern Jake.
He can't be Southern anymore? Is that the punishment?
No, absolutely not. No.
If
I'm back to
only,
normal.
if only real Tim was here, man, that would have been a
Yeah,
crazy
remember
one.
there was fake Tim, there was Southern Jake,
And real me?
Skipty was there. I made a persona, man.
Damn it. Can I flip sides? Can I put on an accent?
You can. I don't know. Hey,
So you can always put on an accent. You just have to do.
Amen, brother.
That's the voice that I did for my Strahd von Zarovich because I couldn't do an Eastern European accent. I was like, cool.
Southern Joe.
I can't do the evil vampire, so what's another like menacing accent if you do it right? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna turn you into a vampire spawn and burn down your village.
I guess also, Skipty, if you do want to flip sides, you would have to call yourself Flipty.
Flipty.
I liked how Dax78 has mentioned that the Saving North Star was a tank was kind of lost in there. But thank you for the $5, man.
Yeah, thank you for the $5, Dax. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. This is a really fun experiment and I think, a really cool format. I don't know if everyone else agrees, but I had a lot of fun. I think that it's the same vibe as Jake broke the accent. He immediately loses the case. It's the same vibe as Swag Academy, just a little more. Everyone gets a chance to offer their opinion instead of just listening to the main speaker. So it was fun.
Yeah. This is the legal education for anyone at Swag Academy. This is how it will be done. The punishment is always death.
Always.
It's always
100% of the time.
See, well, the problem there is I've already killed my imposter, so like,
Well,
do I
yeah,
kill him
then-
again? Do I have to resurrect him?
Yeah.
All right, be right back. 1 second.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will see you all next time.